Out of the gates and ready to go. Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow. Chad, the Friday edition is here. Time to talk in absolutes. How about it on this Friday edition?
It's what we do every day, Hutton. We come ready, and I am absolutely excited about today's show and this lineup.
Ben Lieber will join us coming up in about 20 minutes. He is the radio TV analyst for the Minnesota Vikings. A ton to discuss, including former Vikings like Dalvin Cook, who's now with the New York Jets. Kelly in Vegas. Kelly Stewart joins us. She is a Kansas State grad and really hated Chad's exercise earlier this week. Kelly in Vegas, the Vegas expert, joins us later this hour as well. Fantastic defensive lineman, Leonard Marshall, formerly of the Giants. He jumps on the show in hour number 2. Plus Mike Gunzelman and Chad, the actor who portrayed Michael Orr in The Blind Side. Quinton Aaron will be on the show today.
My top question for Quinton Aaron today, because Michael Orr has claimed that he was portrayed as someone who was not smart in the movie, and he had to fight that perception of him throughout. I'm going to ask the actor who portrayed Michael Orr in the movie, did you play him dumb? What was the motivation behind your portrayal of him? How did you look at the character? How did you portray it? I'll also have to ask Quinton Aaron to explain to people that may be upset on social media about Sandra Bullock how acting works. Just give us a quick description of how, you take a job and you portray a part, and it's not you saying that that person's great and has done everything right in their life, but you get paid to portray something. We may have to have him give an explanation on all
give
that.
Back, yeah.
I can't wait either way.
He'll give us the honest reaction for sure, not just on that, but with the entire storyline of the week. Time to hit the top headlines of the day. We'll certainly touch on Michael Orr and the Tuohys and more. But Chad, as we get scorched earth on Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow, Megyn Kelly on the Megyn Kelly Show on Sirius XM, or were you a part of this? You're on the trio pack
I
here.
saw that. I like the thumbnail that included me with Megyn and Sage. I'm thinking, man, this looks like, I really moved up, and I'm now Megyn Kelly's co-host.
No,
not doing the show with you, Hutton, isn't
totally fine.
great. It's just I've got a new gig now as Megyn Kelly's co-host.
So Megyn Kelly had Sage Steele on the show. We've been discussing this throughout the week. Sage Steele settling with ESPN, no longer a part of the four-letter network. After she was suspended, she filed lawsuit saying that she was censored of her First Amendment rights, where she couldn't speak her mind, censored behind the scenes with a suspension from shows, all because of what she said on the Jay Cutler podcast. Megyn Kelly kicks things off on the forced apology that Sage Steele was asked to put out on social media, which Sage will go on to say she regrets, but begins the conversation by adding her thoughts on the entire experience.
They started to take responsibilities away from you while at the same time forcing you to apologize. The comment that you put out was as follows, quote, "I know my recent comments created controversy for the company, and I apologize. We are in the midst of an extremely challenging time that impacts all of us, and it's more critical than ever that we communicate constructively and thoughtfully." So did they make you do that, Sage, and how did that feel?
I did not want to apologize. I fought, and I begged, and I screamed. I was told that if I want to keep my job, I have to apologize, and I need my job. And I love my job, Megan. I loved it. Every moment on SportsCenter the last 2.5 years with my co-host Matt Berry and my producers. We've had the best team. So proud. I loved it, but I needed it as well. They knew that.
Chad, you and I can relate to this. We have been asked, not just asked, told to make apologies on air before.
Yep.
We did our last one probably a decade ago, roughly. Is that the James Franklin? No, it was
when did
7 or 8 years ago now. 7 or 8 years ago now, when James Franklin was at Vanderbilt.
And I can tell you exactly when we were probably forced to
apologize. We will never issue an apology we don't believe in on air ever again.
Yep.
After that, period. And so we know the feeling. Chad had to read it because I refused to read it, although it was on behalf of all of us on the show. Based on having a guest on the show that gave his honest opinion. And in this case, Sage is giving her honest opinion on what she thinks about the COVID-19 vaccine and whether or not she should be forced to take the jab in order to work, to go on location, to do things. And then she had to tweet issuing the apology for what she said on the Jay Cutler podcast. Not even on air with ESPN, which Clay said she should be able to do whenever he joined us earlier this week.
Yeah, it was about a decade ago That was in line with the Vanderbilt football rape case
With
that was
us,
going
yeah.
on, and that was June 23rd, 2013 is when it started. Probably would have been around 2014, I'm guessing, when the interview took place that we had to apologize for. By the way, forced to apologize, we were for interviewing a reporter who had a report, and then we simply asked him about his report, and somehow we were supposed to apologize for that.
Correct,
That's
for having
neither
him
here
on.
nor there. It still bothers me. So I get it. When I hear the anger and the emotion in Sage Steele's voice about what happened at ESPN when she was forced to apologize for something that she did not say on ESPN, and she's very clear, we're going to play some other clips from the interview, about a double standard where others at ESPN were allowed to stop sports programming to protest their political opinions on ESPN Air. And they did not face any discipline for that. They did it on Twitter. They did it in other avenues, on other interviews, and they were not forced any discipline upon them. Yet Sage Steele voiced her opinions on a separate podcast with Jay Cutler, not on ESPN, and she was forced to apologize. I echo what Hutton said. I also understand where Sage Steele is coming from. She's a mother of three. She has to have an income. If I was told, do this or you're not going to have a job, well, that's a pretty threatening thing for anyone to be in a situation to be in. Okay, well, let me consider my options here. And if put up in a corner, most of us would probably make the same decision Sage Steele did. And guess what? Most of us would grow to resent that decision the same way Sage Steele did. The same way I resent and hate the fact that I apologized and I was the one who read it on air when I was forced to about a decade ago. I hate it. And I don't ever want to do it again. And I bet if Sage Steele had it in mind what she eventually accomplished, which was suing ESPN and winning with a settlement. Her words, she won the settlement with ESPN. She would have told them right then and there, if you do this, I will sue the ever-loving hell out of you for firing me over this. Keep that in mind as you make your decision right now. I will not apologize, and if you fire me, it's coming right back on you. So go right ahead and do what you've got to do. If she would have said that in the moment, things may have been different. They may have backed down. She may still be at ESPN. A lawsuit may have never happened.
Or she would have been laid off in the
But
cuts.
instead, or she would have been laid off in the cuts. Also probably been paid the way most of the rest of them were, the rest of their contract.
I'm glad she stood up the way she did.
I'm glad she stood up the way she did, but in her being forced to apologize and still having to be suspended, like she says suspended, they say she wasn't suspended, but taken off air.
Yeah.
It worked out best for her. But you could hear it in her voice right there, Hutton. She doesn't like the fact that she was forced to apologize and that she did it.
Well, and it's based on what you and I expect, what the goal would be for any of our viewers or listeners with OutKick. Consistency. That is the one big thing that she wanted from ESPN and that we all want.
All I ever wanted was consistency. And if we are allowing my peers to go on social media, much less on our own airwaves, saying things that have nothing to do with sports, that are political, that are not true quite often, because the parental rights bill in Florida is not what many people claim that it is. Most people apparently didn't take the time to read it. Then I should be allowed on my personal time to give my opinion on my experiences personally, without telling others what to do or how to feel about being biracial or being forced to take a vaccine. And I think that's just what breaks my heart, is that there were different rules for me than everyone else.
Different rules for her and different rules across the country, quite frankly, for certain people over everyone else. Couldn't go to the Super Bowl with Fox unless we took the COVID-19 booster. Could not go and travel with the NFL unless you were vaccinated and had the card. You're forced to do it, and if you weren't there and you weren't available, chances are you felt like your job was in jeopardy. And in this case, she regrets not just getting the vaccine, but doing so while having, Chad, you were saying, having the Band-Aid on the arm. And she was doing this the same day that she had the COVID-19 jab.
Yeah, she went, I think we're going to play that also, but why she had the Band-Aid on her arm, because the timing of the Jay Cutler part of this and when everything went down. A lot of people were forced to take this shot. I don't have strong opinions about it. one way or the other. Didn't really at the time either, the way Sage Steele does. But, I mean, like you, Hutton, I got vaccinated because I wanted to do my job. I wanted to get back out around people. And to go cover a Super Bowl, the NFL required you to do it.
I waited until the very last day to do it, for the 2-week wait until I could travel on a plane with the organization in the league. I didn't do it immediately, but the pressure was there to do it. And ESPN had their motives, just like every other company that forced people to do this had theirs. And that's the other thing, the behind the bottom line, read between the line thing with this. Not just First Amendment rights, but how companies put their foot down and now, came back, and all of a sudden, magically, the rules are lifted and everyone's either back in a studio, back in a sales office, not required to work from home, not required to show a vaccine card. All of that just magically went away.
Well, ESPN is the most high profile of these companies to do these things and punish people for having differing opinions from the mainstream on their air or off their air. And this became very public because of the lawsuit with Sage Steele. And kudos to Sage Steele for fighting this and eventually winning. But make no mistake about it, and people watching or listening right now, you know exactly what I'm saying. ESPN wasn't the only one to mandate something. ESPN wasn't the only one to threaten people if they didn't go get vaccinated with termination of their job, their livelihood in some way. I mean, this went on everywhere. So I'm not going to sit here and act like ESPN is the only devil here. Plenty of corporations required COVID vaccines. Plenty of other places threatened people with their job if they didn't adhere to whatever was going on. So, look, while ESPN certainly is worse in the if you don't echo this one opinion on air or off, we are going to punish you. But we're going to allow people to echo our political opinions on air or off and not do a thing. They are very invisibly the ones that are the worst example of doing that. But there's a lot of hypocrisy going around now.
Censorship on air or off.
And a lot
BS.
of people in hindsight now are looking back and trying to sort of rewrite history and the way things were viewed then, the way things were done then, the way things are looked at now. And look, ESPN was wrong. They lost. But it's not just ESPN that was up to this. And it's not just ESPN that forces apology or censors or does any of that. A lot of places do the exact same thing. And Hutton and I gave an example of our former company that forced us to apologize over something we never should have apologized about. But when you're in our shoes and it's do this, you're going to be in big trouble, sometimes the path of least resistance is the one that's chosen because it's the easiest to keep doing your job and moving right along. And that's what a lot of people take. Sage Steele took that path of least resistance in the beginning by apologizing, and then later fought back and she won. So kudos to her.
And as she told Megyn Kelly, she still believes in what she told Jay Cutler on his podcast.
I own everything. Every single thing I said. I would say it again today, and I still believe it. So I don't want to separate myself from that. But that day, I literally, Megyn had just come from the stupid grocery store pharmacy to get the shot. That's why the Band-Aid, like I've been asked a couple times, even recently, is that a prop to stir the pot and to get him to ask you about that? I was like, no, I literally was late getting the shot because I sat in my car crying, saying, I cannot believe I'm going to go against what I believe is right and my morals and values and what I believe being forced with my body to keep my job. But I knew I had no choice. I'm a mother of three, single mother of three. Their father is here and he's a wonderful father, but I'm 100% the breadwinner. And I knew that I had no choice. And I sat in that car and I was disgusted with myself for caving. See, I get emotional again. It's so stupid. I went in the grocery store and I sat down and the nurse looked at me. She's like, are you okay? Because I'm like crying. And I said, no, I'm not okay. I'm being forced to do this and I don't believe it's right. Not yet. Give it a year. See what more they learn. This is still experimental. Like, just give me time before I have to put this in my body. And the nurse looked at me and grabbed my hand and said, this is so wrong and I'm sorry.
There's Sage Steele speaking in absolutes about her experience, and I commend her for it because Chad and I can relate to the whole situation, and it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What's going on?
And here's what I want to get back to, and I'm very, very consistent. Sage Steele wants consistency, but we are anything but inconsistent on this show. We will be consistent. At least Hutton and I will constantly be consistent with what we're saying. And I'm going to be consistent on this. We need to get back to asking the first question on anyone in media or sports or that does anything. It's not what do they think or who do they vote for. It is got to be, are they good? It's not, what do they think on this issue? What do they think on that issue? It's, are they good or not? And here's the great thing about Sage Steele. Sage Steele's really good. I never once asked what party does Sage Steele vote for when she's on SportsCenter. I just always thought, she's a really good broadcaster. I like watching her deliver the news and talk about sports. And now we get back to Sage Steele just being a really good broadcaster. That's got to be the most important thing professionally. Are you good? First question every time. If someone asks me about a talent, ask me, are they good? Don't ask me what they think about something. I don't really care about that. That's secondary. And ESPN and others got way too into this of, well, what do they think? Are they controversial? Are they going to get canceled? No. Are they good or not? Yes or no, black and white. Sometimes it is black and white. And this is another one of those examples. And guess what? Sage Steele's very good.
Absolutely. A great guest list coming up throughout today's show. Kelly in Vegas later this hour. When we come back, Ben Lieber joins us, radio TV analyst of the Minnesota Vikings. Plenty to discuss from that division and that roster. That's next on Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow across the OutKick network.
Jason Aldean's new song. Jason Aldean's new song, Don't Try It in a Small, Try That in a Small Town, is awesome. It's basically saying to you Antifa clowns out there and you rioters, look, you can go ahead and burn down Democratic-run cities. And the cops, at least in Indianapolis, will be told by an alleged drunken mayor to stand down. That's fine. But don't try that in a small town. You saw what happened in Crown Point, Indiana. Crown Point, Indiana, there was rumored that a group was coming in to tear it up. Crown Point's just a little south of Gary. And all the fellas got their shotguns out and lined the streets. Do you know how much trouble there was in Crown Point, Indiana? Bam. Zero. Zip. Nada. Liberals went nuts. Oh, this is racism. No, not really. Hey, there's white Antifa. There's black Antifa. You're just protecting your streets. You're just protecting the businesses that you use. See, here in Indy, we did not protect the businesses that we use. We let idiots run wild. We let idiots burn. We let idiots break. We let idiots destroy. That's not the way to go about it. You try that in a small town. Here's what happened in Ottawa Lakes, Michigan, where my wife's from. There was a rumor, group was coming up from both Toledo and Cincinnati. And they were going to go into this gun store and loot it. Word got out. Neighborhood app got started. You know what happened? The fellas, I think it was Ottawa Lakes. There's another town right there. It could be a different town. I don't know. They're all there. You know what happened? The fellas surrounded and protected the gun store. You know the rest of the story, right? The Antifa pussies came up, looked around, saw they were being challenged, and like every single group of bullies, turned around and left. Damn right. That's a small town. And if you think Don't Try It in a Small Town country music, television or whatever is racist, tough. Good for you. We don't. It's number one on the charts. And I put out a tweet earlier today of an African-American guy, big, strong guy, that said, hey, don't be coming down here to Alabama. African-American guy. I'll retweet it. Said, don't even think about coming down here and starting that crap. Don't even think about it. Well, guess what? He ain't wrong. It ain't about black or white. It's about protecting the businesses that you use against people that are trying to destroy your town. And Jason Aldean ain't wrong, baby. And you liberals can bitch and whine and moan and write your articles and try to cancel him or cancel me for standing up for it or get mad at OutKick. I don't care. I love seeing what happened in Ottawa Lakes. You want to come in here? Ain't happening. It just ain't happening. Crown Point, Indiana, everybody called them racist because it was white guys with shotguns. You know what they did? They protected their town. I wish we'd have protected our town here in Indy. You go into Indy, it is awful, horrendous, horrific. Nothing going on downtown for the most part.
Sixth and Peabody, our location with Yeehaw Beer and Old Smoky Moonshine. Chad, I just stepped out here at our studio and saw some of the management crew. They were wondering if it's Beer Friday.
Can I answer that in 2 words?
You may.
Hell yes.
Okay.
You tell them, let's go ahead and get those cold. Let's get some frosty beers, get ready to go. It is Beer Friday. We will absolutely cheers at the end of the show today, Hutton. There's no doubt about that. This has been a good and fast week.
Yeah, it has been.
Mike Gunzelman, Gun Show, I think, includes beer with it. The show includes, first off, great seats for the Gun Show every time, and also frosty cold ones.
No doubt. Coming up, Kelly in Vegas will join us in about 20 minutes. Leonard Marshall, the great New York Giants defensive lineman. Quinton Aaron, who portrayed Michael Orr in the film The Blind Side, will be with us later. Plus, as Chad just mentioned, Gun Show. Mike Gunzelman in studio. Right now, we say hello to Ben Lieber. He's a Minnesota Vikings radio and TV analyst. He joins us on the show. Ben, good to have you back, man. Hope things are well. I believe he's frozen there, so we will check back in with Ben, or maybe just get him on by phone. We can do that too.
We got to work on the Wi-Fi connection up in is it Minneapolis?
Somewhere close to there, yeah.
Ben, somewhere in Minnesota. Apparently, Wi-Fi is a little tough out there.
Get into Dalvin Cook headed to the Jets. Plus, we've got Kirk Cousins and other aspects to jump in with him on for some big headlines going into the NFL season. Chad, Shannon Sharpe, it is official. We were discussing this a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I believe. Shannon Sharpe to First Take. It was an obvious connection.
And now it's
connection. And now the rumor was through, I believe, one of the main media reporters was saying that it was going to be like a 2 or 3 hits a week. Now it's Monday, Tuesday, starting the football season for Shannon Sharpe with Stephen A. Smith. That'll be good.
Yeah, I like it. Like it's same response I had when we first talked about, floated this as the possibility or the report that was out there. It's almost too
perfect,
obvious. You know, like the guy who was with Skip Bayless, who Skip Bayless was with ESPN, and now that guy that was with Skip Bayless after he left, he's suddenly available. So now his former employer brings him back, a guy who has done this debate format for a long time, and you know is going to yell a lot. You bring him back over. I mean, I think it's going to be fine. I just don't see that move and think, man, you know, ESPN's really knocking it out of the park with creativity in what they're doing, but it is kind of an obvious move, I think, for both sides, so we'll see how it works.
Check back in up in Minnesota. Ben Lieber joins us. Ben, hope things are well, man.
Things are well. My apologies about the bad reception, man.
It's all good. It happens. Hey, so plenty of storylines with the Vikings, but they're being overshadowed either by the Jets or just because it's Kirk Cousins at quarterback and not Aaron Rodgers, for instance. What is the overview of this Vikings team, knowing how many games they won a year ago? O'Connell's back going into year 2. Cousins is in a contract year, but he doesn't seem to mind. Dalvin Cook's not there. You do have one of the top 5 players in the league in Jefferson, however. What is the optimism there compared to how you feel like it is nationally?
Well, I think everybody around their own home team is filled probably with a lot more optimism than the national media. But I would say it's pretty high. It really is realistically pretty high. There are some question marks. Let's start with the positives first. You got Justin Jefferson. You have Kirk Cousins, who in my mind is a top 10 quarterback. He can win a lot of games. He proved that last year. The whole narrative that he can't have a fourth quarter comeback, he doesn't have the it factor, he can't play in prime time, I think all that's been put to bed. I think he's a really, really good quarterback, and I think he's going to be better in year 2 of KOC's offense. I think the offense actually may be a little bit better than it was last year with Josh Oliver coming over as a big blocking tight end. He can help that offensive line sort of focus more on the interior protection and just sort of leave the edges alone. And I think that's really going to help out this offensive line in total. I think the biggest question mark comes on defense. Brian Flores, in my estimation, was the best offseason signing by any player or coach by any team in the whole offseason. And I know those are big words, but I truly believe what he can do in his system with this defense and with the players that he has. But it all remains to be seen. We don't know if this defensive front can be consistent in the run game. We don't know if we can, pressure the quarterback without bringing a blitz or a pressure. So yes, there are a lot of question marks still, but tons of optimism.
I watched the quarterback series on Netflix, and I'm watching, and I become more of a Vikings fan because of Kirk Cousins in that series. And I know that I'm not alone. There's probably a lot more Vikings fans after having watched that. I know, Ben, this was no surprise to you, anything with Kirk Cousins, but what do you think the impact of that series was on Kirk Cousins and the Vikings with all of those who got to watch it?
I think the Viking fans historically, have really, it's hard to shake this NFC North black and blue division feel. Even though modern NFL is sort of going a different direction, it's going to a little bit more finesse, the fan base still wants a rough and tumble, hard-nosed team, and they want a hard-nosed quarterback. And I think the series really showed the people and the public and the fans that even though Kirk is very clean-cut, he's the Cole's dad, he's all these kind of funny memes and different things, but I think they realize that he has the innate toughness that they can respect and that they can hang their hat on, and their long history and their reputation of the Norseman Vikings and being this tough team. And I think that he kind of carries that torch. And I don't think a lot of people realize how tough he really was. And battling through the rib injuries, everything that he went through, never complained, never talked about it. It was never brought up in the media. It was never talked about, pre and post game. And he was secretly, going through this, the physical battles. I think a lot of people gained a lot more respect for him. And I hope he feels that.
The Dalvin Cook impact for Cousins in the offense, it flipped from a run-first to a pass-first team when the coaching change happened, for sure, mentality-wise. Without Dalvin Cook, just throughout the offseason, Ben, did the Vikings try to keep him even by giving him the pay cut? Money was an issue, no doubt. Money's an issue for every running back in the league right now, it seems. Is Alexander Mattison really is he the three-down back that they need?
Yeah, I believe so. And I believe that they felt that way when they gave him that 2-year extension early in the offseason. Listening to the quotes from Madison, more recently than maybe right after he signed, he knew exactly what that meant for him and this offense going forward. I think when they gave him that extension, that 2-year extension, it let him know that Dalvin probably was not going to be back. They probably weren't going to work really, really hard on a restructure unless the money came back, very much in the team's favor. And that probably, deservedly so. And in all fairness, Dalvin deserves a lot more than that. So, I think that Alexander knew that he was going to be the guy. And I think this offense is actually going to be better for it because Alexander can get downhill and he can pick up positive yards. This was an offense that needs to have positive yards on first and second down. And we just didn't have that on a consistent basis with Dalvin, even though he has home run ability. And we saw, what he can do in the screen game. We saw the way that he can just break off plays. I think they want more consistency in the positive yardage situation. And Madison's going to give him that.
How great is it to have Aaron Rodgers out of that division?
It's awesome. I will say this though, I'm gonna miss sort of the constant Aaron Rodgers buzz around here because he's just such a fun interview and he's such an interesting guy and a mysterious guy, and we're not going to get that as much. I will say this: I think that Jordan Love is going to be I think it's going to be a tough out still with Green Bay. He gives them athletically, I think, a different dimension. I think they can call plays a little bit differently. I think that for the first, quarter of the season, the whole league is going to try to figure out how to play their offense. So I'm not going to say that they're going to be an awful team or, they're going to be completely different. I think that, they're going to be a very competitive team. They've got a great defense. They've got a great secondary. They can get after the passer. So they might have to win in different ways. But surely, when it comes to clutch moments, it's going to be nice that Rodgers is gone.
How real is the competitive vitriol between Jefferson and Jair Alexander? And it's unfortunate we don't get to see this on the field until around Halloween.
Oh, I think it's real, and I don't think it's in a completely personal, I really don't like you, but I think from a professional competitive standpoint, it's as real as it can get. These guys are going to square off against each other twice a season, and I can't wait. They do a lot of, I think, healthy trash talking to each other. That's the one thing I love about Justin Jefferson is I think he's very self-aware with himself and very self-aware about how he presents himself to the rest of the league. And he knows what to say, how to say it. And with Jair, it's going to be a little bit of a WWE matchup every week about how they present themselves to the media, what they say to each other, what they do on social media. So I think it's fun. I think it's good for the league, and I think it's good for our division. He
was close last year. Is Jefferson the first receiver that we will see surpass the 2,000-yard mark in a single season?
Yeah, I think so. Especially with, even though Madison's going to give this offense a different dimension going downhill and picking up positive yardage, we're still probably going to throw the ball 65-70% of the time, as is the rest of the league. So I definitely think that he's going to do it.
Ben Lieber, our guest, you're a K-State guy. What do you make of all the movement and the fact that you end up of the commissioners in the Pac-12 and the Big 12? Brett Yormark he's run laps around what was going on out west.
I'm just relieved. I really am, because I love Kansas State, but the reality is if the Big 12 dissolved, Kansas State was going to be caught up, kind of like how Oregon State and some of these other Pac-12 teams feel left out. All the predictions that I saw, a couple years ago when they said, well, if Oklahoma and Texas are going to leave and the Big 12 dissolves, these teams right here, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, some of these teams are going to be left behind. And so I was really worried that if that was the case, then K-State's going to end up in some lesser division, feel less credible and kind of lose a little bit of the reputation I feel like we've built up. So I'm just excited that the Big 12 has expanded. They keep expanding. I think they've added to this conference in a really positive way. I know that Texas and Oklahoma bring a lot of clout, but Utah is a great football program. I think Arizona and Arizona State are really good programs, really solid programs. I think, top to bottom with Houston and Central Florida, Cincinnati, I think this is a really, really tough conference now from both a football and a basketball perspective.
Ben, going back to the NFC North, I know there's a see it to believe it quality with the Detroit Lions at all times. We have seen some progress. We haven't seen them obviously get exactly to where they want to go. What is the level of belief that you have and a lot of people around the division have in at least the direction they're headed?
Oh, it's real. I see it with my own eyes. They truly have built something special there. They're doing it an old-fashioned way, a punch in the mouth, sort of old school football way, and you can see that their players really buy in. And you can see how the rest of the league has a hard time defending against it because everybody else is going faster, smaller, leaner. They want to spread the game out. And not often do you face a team that wants to punch you in the mouth every single snap. So I think they are legit. I think their defense has really turned a corner at the halfway point in the season last year. They were a blitzing unit, and it really hurt them. They were feast or famine, and they got burned a lot. But then Aaron Glenn sort of figured out, okay, I can disguise a little bit more. I can decoy a little bit more. I can window dress a little bit more. And all of a sudden their defense started making more plays. They gave up less points, and thus they started winning more games. I think they won, 8 of the last 10 games of the season. If they can keep up that sort of mentality and that philosophy going into these games, especially defensively, I think they're going to be a tough out, and I think they're the real deal.
We're going to see any starters in the game you'll be covering, Vikings and Titans on Saturday?
I doubt it. This was KOC's MO last year. we didn't know how he was going to approach the preseason, and he didn't play a lot of his starters. And so they got some great work in the last 2 days with these joint practices. So, reading between the lines, I think that he's going to be really happy with the work that they got in as starters, and he's going to rest those guys on Saturday night.
Yeah. Stay healthy until September 10th. That's
right.
the goal now. Ben, always great stuff, man. We appreciate it as always, and we'll catch you up soon.
Yeah, same here, guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, man. There's Ben Lieber, Minnesota Vikings radio TV analyst.
Really interesting division this year with the Vikings trying to hold on. Probably the last year, unless Kirk Cousins just knocks it out of the park for him in Minnesota. Not getting that extension, but he could earn his way into that. What does Jordan Love look like getting his opportunity?
That's the
Justin
big
Fields
secret.
looked good in the first preseason game, but what does his improvement look like? And then the Lions have been knocking at the door.
The Lions are
gonna be
hand-selected as the opponent for the Kansas City Chiefs on Thursday night to kick off the season.
Yeah. A lot of interest.
The
The Lions will quickly become like the Cubs of 2016 for a lot of America, where they will
If they go in and
root
win,
for
yeah.
that story. Well, if they're winning it, at any major clip at any point this season, people will
I'm
be
saying like
watching. and
40
rooting
to
for
50 million watching.
them.
That kicks
that'll
off.
be a big moment for them.
A big way. But Ben Lieber there, K-State grad. So is Kelly in Vegas, who's going to make her pitch as to why Kansas State needs to be in
And why I'm an
the
idiot.
college football of the NFL discussion that Chad presented earlier this week. Yeah, she'll tell us why Chad's an idiot.
All the rest of you think I'm an idiot. You're going to love this next segment.
That is
Buckle
next
up.
on Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow across the OutKick network.
The two biggest social media giants, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, are set to battle it out, and I'm here on Broadway asking people who they put their money on. Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk? They're gonna fight each other. Who do you think's gonna win?
I think Mark's got him.
Really?
Yeah,
Why do you think that?
because he's a man.
Okay, and Elon Musk isn't.
Oh, well, of course, he got money.
Okay.
He's got money. Money, well, money's money.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg in a fight?
I don't know. I'm going to go with Musk.
Why?
He just seems like he's a little bit younger, a little bit smarter.
You just got a good feeling about
I
him?
got a good feeling.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg?
Musk.
Why?
He trains. That guy's gonna beat his.
But Mark Zuckerberg is actually training jiu-jitsu for 9 months.
Not happening. Not Elon Musk all day. Elon Musk.
Why do you think?
He has no soul. I mean, I think he's definitely just gonna no holds barred.
Elon Musk.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. I feel like he's stronger and smarter.
Oh, Elon Musk.
All the way? Why?
All the way. He's an animal. Think about it.
Mark Zuckerberg's been training for 9 months jiu-jitsu. You think Elon Musk can take him?
Yeah, I think he could take him.
Elon, that oh God, stop playing with Elon. Elon really do this out here, for real.
I hope Elon
Really? Why do you think so?
got better ideas.
Zuckerberg's like 5'7", 155. Musk is 6'1", 190. But Zuckerberg's been training jiu-jitsu for 9 months. Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, who's going to win in a fight?
Oh, Elon Musk. No doubt.
Why do you think so?
He's the GOAT. I've been seeing all the Twitter handles and all the talk, and I'm on Elon Musk's side. I'm ready for them to get in the WWE ring and then come off the top rope. That's what I want to see. I want to see a people's elbow to Mark Zuckerberg.
If one was more likely to be a lizard or a robot, who would it be?
Elon. Elon.
Okay.
I think Mark Zuckerberg will win
Why do you think that?
because I think he already trains MMA, so he's got like the prior experience and stuff. I mean, they're both billionaires, so they have the opportunity to get the best training. But I think Mark Zuckerberg will pull away with the win.
Elon Musk,
Why do you think so?
because he's bigger.
Bigger. Okay, but Mark Zuckerberg's been training jiu-jitsu for 9 months. Do you think that matters?
No.
Zuckerberg, he's part alien or robot, so he may have some secret powers that we don't know about.
I was going to say, is that an advantage? Does he have an advantage over Elon Musk then?
Yeah, I mean, if he, sheds his skin and becomes an alien and eats everyone, yeah, I think so.
Elon Musk is mental, so Elon Musk.
All it is just he's mental. He's mentally crazy, so...
He just wouldn't care, would he?
Okay.
He'd just absolutely go for it. I think Zuckerberg would be a bit more refrained.
Okay.
If that should ever happen, which I doubt, but you never know, it'd be entertaining.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg?
Elon Musk.
Why?
Because my dad is in love with Elon Musk.
Okay.
I think I'm going to have to go with Zuckerberg. I mean, Threads just came out, so.
Who do you think would win?
Zuck.
Why do you think so?
Because he's not a real human. He's a robot.
So he'll use that to his advantage.
Yeah, and all the Krav Maga stuff, too, yeah.
Who do you think would win in a fight, Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk?
Elon Musk.
Why do you think Elon Musk?
I think Elon's
He
smarter.
works with robots, so maybe he built a robot to fight for him.
But what if Mark Zuckerberg is a robot?
Oh, wow.
Then I might have to change my answer.
Who do you think is going to win?
Me.
Sixth and Peabody, our location with Yeehaw Beer and Old Smoky Moonshine. Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow rolls on across the OutKick network. Leonard Marshall joins us coming up in about 40 minutes from now.
Week has flown by, Hutton.
It's
Flown
fast-paced. Our goal, to get to 5 p.m. Central, get you to 6 p.m. Eastern, through your workday and into the weekend.
There will be Friday beers. We will cheers at the end of the show today.
Chad,
Sixth and Peabody's hopping out there.
It's packed, yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
It was like football season.
Hutton and I wore the same shirt for some reason, it looks like. Color-wise, no pre-planning involved. Hutton went no collar. I went collar, the only difference.
Well done.
We've just completely linked up with everything. We just don't even talk about it and wear the same shirt.
Chad, we have football season around the corner, all the discussions about the future of college football. And earlier this week, you had the exercise of the 32 teams, football programs for the NFL of college football. There were several who chimed in that were pissed off for greatness about your list. You know, teams 33 and 34 perhaps, maybe even further down on your list for all I know. But our next guest is one of the more vocal of those who took exception to your list of programs and the big omission, according to Kelly in Vegas, who joins us now. Kelly, welcome to the show. Hope you're doing well.
I am doing well in the beautiful, cloudy city of Las Vegas right now. So pardon my hotel room, but I did make my bed just for you, Hutton.
Thank you.
It looks great.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks great. That was only for Hutton, too.
Chad
Look,
and
there were a lot of complaints about the list that I put together.
We've heard about this.
And you can't, fully explain the rationale behind everything in one tweet. So then Clay retweets it, and people are chiming in left and right. And I'm getting destroyed, but I don't notice a lot of the destruction until I see Kelly in Vegas chime in. I'm like, okay, now I feel
now I know
something
it's passionate
about this. Now I've really reached a level of I've got to defend myself. And I told Kelly, I said, as a friend of the show, I said, you need to come on and tell me why I got it wrong on Kansas State. Obviously, I'm sure, Kelly, that's what offended you the most about this list?
No. As a matter of fact, as a K-State fan, I'll tell you this. K-State's always been undervalued. They've always been the underdog. They've never gotten any respect. So that I'm used to. But I just want to know where you learned geography. You had snubbed both Mississippi schools. You got Baylor in the West. Somehow UCLA doesn't make the list yet. Stanford, who might not even have a football program coming up, made the list. And then you've got Notre Dame in the East. I know you're trying to relive the Big East days of basketball, but this was supposed to be a college football list, and that's where you really lost me.
Well, see, now this is an easy one for me to defend. Like the Kansas State thing, I'd be like, all right, there's some good points there. Stanford, okay, valid arguments against Stanford being on this list. But I'm cracking up about the people who are upset about geography with me. The Dallas Cowboys are in the NFC East. The Indianapolis Colts are in the AFC South. I can't snap my finger and put the perfect amount of top college football brands evenly across these United States of America. There's going to be some that have to get divided into different divisions, much like we see in pro sports. And Kelly, a K-State grad and fan of all people in the Big 12, the Big 12 that spans from now Orlando, Florida, to Boulder, Colorado, to Morgantown, West Virginia, complaining about geography is rich to me. That's a funny
don't
complaint.
Forget, we also have Tucson, Arizona, and Salt Lake City coming into that mix. Hey, listen, as a Florida resident these days, I'm very happy that UCF joined the Big 12 just so that I can go to a couple more games every few years. But I would agree with you. It's a little awkward. Hey, if we had it my way, we'd be going back to the Big 8, okay? I loved those days when you could just drive to any one of the games.
Well,
Bottom
look,
line.
Kelly, you were the person that we wanted to get on the show that complained about it. You were not alone in complaining. I listened to all complaints. I read my mentions. I went through it and I tallied up the biggest complaints out there. You're not alone in geography. A lot of people were very pissed off about different geographic things, which is funny because one of the big geographic points was, how is Arkansas in the north? How is Arkansas? And I'm like, Oklahoma is further south and no one's mentioning them as a problem in the north. But everybody was mad about Arkansas in the north because they're in the SEC.
With you guys in the Mason-Dixon line, I didn't grow up in the South. I grew up in Kansas, but I've always been told the Mason-Dixon line is supposed to be the definiting marker there. And Oklahoma just wasn't a state yet. So I think people just assume Oklahoma is Midwest. I don't know anybody that thinks it's the South. I mean, they're south of Kansas, but even I still consider it that way. But for some reason, Arkansas, while it is the neighbor to Oklahoma, is the South.
I will say the Mason-Dixon line, it's just tying this in. Had he included either of the Mississippi schools or Kentucky for that matter, your complaint would be it's too SEC heavy. True?
I don't know if I would say it was too SEC heavy. I did think it was weird the way that he did the East, right? Just I don't know. It was just very
tell me what's weird about it. You don't like the Florida combination with the Northeast?
No,
yeah, we can put it up on the screen right now so people can see what we're talking
about.
about.
Put it up on the screen. Listen, I don't dislike the two Florida schools being in the same. I actually am concerned about maybe potentially losing that rivalry going on what's going on with the ACC right now. But that being said, why is all the Texas schools in the South? I feel like it's just an odd
because
list.
They're in the South. The South goes all the way across the country, not the Southeast. I get what you're saying on the Southeast is different. So here's what I did, Kelly, for you, all right? Because I like you and respect you so much. I took your complaint. I heard the complaints of others. And I took the top 3 or 4 complaints, and I changed my list based on the top 3 or 4 complaints. So here was my divisions. Here's the new divisions if we factor in the biggest complaints. What I did was I replaced, and you can see it here, Kelly, you can weigh in. I replaced Syracuse with Pittsburgh. Syracuse was the biggest point of contention. Everyone claimed that I went to Syracuse, I guess because I'm in broadcasting, and it's the only way Syracuse could have ever been put into this and I'm like, have you ever heard of Jim Brown? Have you seen whatever? Either way, Syracuse out, Pittsburgh in because the most people complained about that. For you, I put Kansas State in. I did hear about it from Kansas State fans. The other biggest complaint was Oklahoma State being left out. So what I did was I removed Colorado and Baylor, put in Kansas State, Oklahoma State. That gives a new West division. And then I put Arkansas in the north and moved Oklahoma from north to west to pair up Oklahoma State in the same division. Do you like this list more?
Well, I guess west of the Mississippi, K-State just gets put in there by proxy. But that being said, I still can't believe Stanford's on your list and not UCLA. I just think that's a bonehead thing. I would even take Oregon State, Washington State over Stanford football.
What Chad did is Chip
I'm
Kelly.
I'm an elitist. What can I say?
Chip Kelly
that's
threw
me.
out
I'm
the
a big
64.
private school guy.
He had the 64 team. Chad chopped it in half and then omitted Chip Kelly from the league.
Yeah, I was so pissed off at Chip Kelly for bringing up the 64 team idea. I just removed his team altogether from the list.
What would it be like in the betting world, at Wager Talk, for instance, Kelly, with this model and the weekly matchups that you would receive?
Oh my gosh, could you imagine some of these really fun old rivalries being brought back? I know that some of them are still played, even though they're in different conferences, but to have those types of knockout, drag out matches, I think would be great for the betting space. I don't think it's going to affect the numbers. I think it's going to affect recruiting more than anything though, because that's kind of what we're seeing with all the conference realignments is these smaller schools that are either being snubbed or left out or waited too long to make a move, we're going to really see some hurt there. And obviously, when you're not getting the best recruits, you're not getting the best coaches, it's going to hurt your handicapping as far as how the matchups are going to play out. But I love to see all of the chaos. It keeps college football fun, if you will.
Yeah, it's it does make it fun. I'm curious though, not the betting analyst hat on here. College football fan, K-State fan. Do you love this or hate this when you see the possibility of a super conference like this and getting rid of a lot of, even if they're teams that sort of drag down the bottom of conferences, there are still rivalries involved in that mix that now would be eliminated. Do you love it or hate it when you see the possible future of the sport?
That's a tough question because I think things are always ever evolving. And I do miss some of those old rivalries. And that is what I even tweeted a couple of weeks ago. But I will say this. I think that there's always going to be bottom feeders in every single conference for obvious reasons. Not every team is going to be great.
Right.
But that's what makes college football so awesome is you take a team like Kansas State that Bill Snyder literally pulled from the gutter and got them to bowl games, got them to potential national championship contention. Now, never got there, had potential Heisman candidates. You love to see the evolution. The NIL deals and all of this stuff that keeps coming into play is going to keep evolving everything. And that's where I have a love and a hate. I miss that old school rivalry. I miss everybody always gives me a lot of grief. Oh, you hate Oklahoma. Oh, you hate Texas. I'm like, I also hate Iowa State. I hate KU. I still hate Colorado. I didn't want them back into the Big 12. I said, no, leave them for dead like Nebraska. They left. Missouri's losing. To see all of those types of teams who abandoned ship, Texas A&M actually kind of started that whole ordeal. I love to kind of see them not do well in their new prospective conferences because that is college football. You grow up hating these other teams.
Well, and it's also, that's a great point, and I love that you're honest about the hatred. We try to do that as well, but it's always going to be uneven. The nature of the sport is to not be completely fair, and I look at that even with divisions. The West looks easy there, and I'm like, yeah, because the West is easy compared to the Southeast in college football, and it's not even because you've got a system in place where the teams in the SEC make more money, put more into it, have more money to give players. It's not the NFL, I guess is what I'm getting at. If it ever gets there, then it would be, I could expect 6-6 out of everyone every year. But now you don't expect that.
It's never going to be the NFL. And that's okay. That's not ever going to be the NFL. But the SEC, top to bottom, I would not even probably put as my best conference. I'd probably say we could argue it might be the Big Ten. That being said, the SEC is a different animal. They basically have a few NFL teams that to fight for that, money for that competition. Obviously, the Southeast is a hotbed for recruiting, especially the state of Florida, the state of Georgia, even the state of Alabama. I mean, Texas. Once you kind of bring those states into the mix, I mean, the SEC is going to be really, really tough until alignment starts happening again.
So the real question that I had you on to ask, have you forgiven me for confusing you for Megan making money? That's the question that we really want to know on this show. Have I been forgiven, absolved yet?
I would be lying if I did not. I have a group chat with Clay and Ariel where we like to, joke about a lot of things. And I said, all right, I need some ammunition to make fun of Chad. And
you don't need much. Trust me, you don't need any ammunition from me.
I accidentally call him Hutton. And I said, I would never do that to Hutton. Why would I ever do that to Hutton?
Thank you, Megan.
The Chad, I said, isn't he a Vandy grad? And he goes, even worse, Tennessee. And I had all of these ideas to make fun of you and call you an elitist for going to Vandy. And it just didn't work out well.
I could never get into Vandy. That's what's funny about it.
Same.
I mean, even in the trying to get insults to me, it produces an even better insult for me that, oh, no, he didn't go to Vandy. He went to the public school. That tracks. That makes sense.
Megan making money. I mean, Kelly in Vegas has been with us.
Way better than Megan making money is Kelly in Vegas. That's really what we wanted to say here.
I'm pretty sure that night, any blonde girl within a 5-foot radius that was anywhere near Chad, he's like, Megan? Is that Megan?
Well, it was bad. I was talking to Clay about something else, and the wires got crossed and then walked in, and then someone else that Clay knew that was Megan, and then I was like, oh, this is Meg. It was bad. Either way, I apologize, and it's good to know that we're still friends.
Absolutely. I adore you guys.
Thank you, Kelly. Always great. We'll catch up soon.
Enjoy Vegas, too.
Yeah, win.
Hey,
as usual.
I'll
win.
definitely try to behave myself. It sounds like there's a hurricane headed our way. I leave the state of Florida to come back to Vegas, and now I'm going to get hit by a hurricane. So the irony in that writes itself.
A hurricane of money is what you're going to catch in Vegas with all the great sports betting tips. Yes.
Have a great weekend. There's Kelly in
Thank you,
Vegas.
guys.
Wager Talk, betting analyst. You can check her out on
She's
social
hilarious.
as well.
She does a really
No
good
doubt.
job.
Fantastic.
Well, and I
as
brought
well.
up the Colts in the geography department because she just did a great video on Instagram I saw talking about the Colts prospects in 2023. And immediately, I'm like, yeah, the Colts are in the AFC South. Like, of all the geography complaints, I got geography better than every other conference
you
in
tried
college
to factor
football.
it in as best
I got
you could.
it better than every other conference, yet I'm the idiot about it. I'm the guy who went to state school and not Vandy also. So there we go.
Same. Coming up, Hugh Freeze.
Arkansas in the north. Oh, my. Aghast.
Hugh Freeze joins us. We'll
Now I'm
discuss
talking like
that.
Yoda.
Then we'll have Gun Show and more straight ahead in hour 2.
What you're experiencing is the bold taste of a Southern legend. Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey, authentic Tennessee mountain-style spirits. We believe in crafting flavors that were born from tradition but defy expectation, and pioneering a new experience with every sip. Because if it doesn't do this, it ain't this. Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey. Come on.
Welcome into OutKick the show. I am Clay Travis, your fearless leader. I am going to continue to argue that sports is one of the great unifying forces in all of American life. ESPN is a sinking ship. Democrats are now the party of the white, woke college graduate.
We live in a land of participation trophies.
You gotta lean into the turns. You really gotta lean into the turns.
When Leah Thomas walked in that first day, it got silent, and every girl was uncomfortable.
Very difficult to go back-to-back years in the NFL with the number 1 overall pick.
I just think the way Anthony Bass handled this was so sloppy.
Oh, I think it's perfect.
And what he reposted
he did
and how he did it.
He bent the knee and bowed. He was going to catch the ceremonial first pitch.
I've been out of LA long enough to have forgotten that libs, no matter how ridiculous the scenario, are gonna live. Another week of inflation, another week with Biden with COVID, and another set of losers to crown. People don't watch the WNBA on TV, in person, on a plane, on a train, on a bus, or on purpose.
The scary thing, Tommy, is in the history of this government, I've never seen them give anything back that they've taken.
Oh no, they never do.
And they won't.
When you're behind closed doors, when you're talking to plant managers, when you're having meetings, when you're with the team, was there an acknowledgement of any of this, an acknowledgement of the situation, the boycott, and then the doubling down about moving away from the fratty image?
We've seen coaches throw water bottles. We've seen coaches act like idiots. We've seen coaches slap other coaches. But I think if you're involved in carjacking, you're inherently a rotten human being. The level of stupid that sometimes gets on our YouTube chat just gives me a headache. You're born a male, play with males. You're born a female, play with females. Don't at me about it, people. I'm pissed off about this. I never did it before in my life, but Trump is being cheated. The American people are being cheated. We, ladies and gentlemen, are being cheated.
I believe this person is the greatest player anybody alive will ever see. How can you hate Derek Jeter? A guy's on-base percentage tells me his batting eye, and a guy's slugging percentage tells me if he's a threat. That's the kind of guy that throws a no-hitter, that effectively wild guy.
Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey, bold taste of a Southern legend.
Just like that, the second hour is here. Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow across the OutKick Network. Friday edition, Chad. Made it to the final day of the week. We're going to get all of our listeners and viewers to the weekend as quick as possible.
Close. We're getting there. We're getting there, Hutton. We're making it.
Got Giants' great defensive lineman Leonard Marshall coming up just around the corner. Also, Gun Show will be with us. Mike Gunzelman from OutKick.com. And Quinton Aaron, who portrayed Michael Orr in the film The Blind Side. He will be with us coming up in about 40 minutes. Looking forward to that chat. And the question that, Chad, you're going to ask him about how he was asked to portray Michael Orr in this film.
Yeah, I'm going to ask him because Michael Orr has stated that he was portrayed as being dumb in the movie and that he fought that perception throughout his college and NFL career. I'm going to ask Quinton Aaron, is that how he was portraying him? How did he view the character? What went into the thought process of how he played him? And I'm asking him that because I didn't see that when I watched the movie. I didn't watch it and think, man, this kid is dumb. I thought, man, this kid hasn't had any breaks in life, and now he finally got a break, and it's really sad to see what he's gone through. I didn't look at it like, oh, he's not smart. So I thought that was an odd takeaway from the movie and the portrayal from Michael Orr. So we'll ask Quinton Aaron about that, who's been outspoken about those that have said Sandra Bullock should turn in her Oscar because of this latest controversy.
Jed, Hugh Freeze is the former high school football coach of Michael Orr, and he offered his own take of the lawsuit between Orr and the Toohey family and had this to say. Listen, I love Michael Orr. He's part of our family. I love the Tooheys. I think it's sad, and I certainly don't claim to understand all the ins and outs of adoption, conservatory, all of that, but I know what I witnessed, and I witnessed a family that totally took a young man in. And I think without that, there is no story. I sure hope it can. I know this. I know if Michael called Sean right now and said, let's work this out, Sean and Leanne, speaking of the Tooheys, would be there in a hurry to hug his neck and tell him he's loved. I hope he feels that, and certainly I don't claim to, until you walk in people's shoes, I don't claim to have all the answers or anything. I think it will all, whatever happens will happen, of course. The facts will come out. But, you know, I love both sides of it. Sean and Leanne Toohey did something that most families, a lot of us talk about doing things, but they actually put shoes on and pulled the boots up and got in the arena and did something. I think that's admirable. That from Hugh Freeze. Everyone's starting to weigh in on what was just a surprising revelation to begin the week with the filing of the court documents in Shelby County here in Tennessee with Orr and his attorney and what was said within that claim. And here we are at the end of the week, and everyone that knows the behind the scenes or thinks they know, offering different versions of aspects, including, the author of The Blind Side, Michael Lewis. And here we are, Chad, even hearing from Hugh Freeze, now the head coach at Auburn, weighing in on, he's friends with the Tooheys, Coach Michael Orr, and would know both well.
I thought it was very well said by Hugh Freeze, very smartly put, to not really pick sides, but also just plainly state what he witnessed with that family and with how they handled Michael Orr and the whole situation. Similar to what Michael Lewis, the author of The Blind Side, said, but with not as much detail about Hollywood and the money part of it. But Michael Lewis said, I saw how much love and opportunity they gave Michael Orr during that time. We haven't yet heard the counter from Michael Orr. We've seen the claims from his attorney. We've seen some details of the lawsuit and what he's alleging about the conservatorship and all of that. But these stories always have a counter, and then there's a counter to the counter. Yeah. We haven't had the counter to the counter yet. Well, the
only thing that Orr has said was, I'll leave the filing to speak for itself.
What we've had are those closest to the situation weigh in and essentially say, well, it looked to me like they really loved the kid and gave him a lot of things. I don't know what's going on now, but that was the impression that they got from the whole situation, which is exactly what was portrayed in the film and the book. Yeah. So, again, does Michael Orr have something else that's going to come out, or is there a part of the money claim that comes out that shows that they've been profiting from Michael Orr in some way that we don't know about that he's been claiming?
Again, you're right. That's the next step up on the ladder, so to speak. The story progresses with James Harden, and he was at an Adidas rollout, a PR event in China, where he made the comments that Morey, the general manager, former general manager of the Rockets, now president of the Philadelphia 76ers, calling him a liar because Harden opted in to the final year of a contract that was his option on a one-year, $36.5 million contract for the upcoming season, with the intent, he says, and it's been widely speculated, that the 76ers are going to move him, going to trade him. It's also out there that he's very interested in joining the Clippers, among other teams. Well, that's not happening anytime soon if Daryl Morey has anything to say about it, because he wants to keep Harden in the mix. And they have had a long relationship where Morey has gone to bat for him, has been the biggest supporter, waving the James Harden flag, so to speak, even whenever he departed Houston after what went down with his support of Hong Kong, Free Hong Kong, and the tweets that he sent out that ended up, by the way, China they had a blackout of NBA games, pulled them off air in China in 2019, and very quietly last year they were back on. That blackout was lifted. Well, now Harden is there. He's unveiling the new Adidas line or whatever he's doing on behalf of the shoe company that endorses him. And aside from that, he's talking about his love for China and wanting to play there and the love he receives every time he's there. I think this absolutely coincides with whatever the NBA is doing behind the scenes. And the players, by the way, including Harden, came to the defense of China whenever Morey sent out these tweets back in 2019, 2020, I believe. And here is James Harden continuing to push that line of thinking instead of worrying about being a good teammate and playing the upcoming season in Philadelphia because he doesn't want to.
Well, I mean, you know what you know. And these NBA players that have a relationship with China, it's a business relationship. It's a business relationship with the NBA. They're profiting. They're making a ton of money off of China. And I'm sure when James Harden goes to China, as we've seen in these photos, he's getting all the love in the world. He's leading basketball clinics with a bunch of kids wearing a James Harden beard. He's got people coming up and talking about how great of a basketball player he is, and he's making a ton of money to do it. So it doesn't surprise me that his perception of China is not human rights violations. It's what he sees when he's in China, which is money and people loving up on him. So it doesn't surprise me to hear NBA players say, man, I get nothing but love here. It's great. I could see myself playing here, because they're not seeing the bad things that are going on. And they don't want to know it or see it, just like the NBA doesn't want to know or see it.
He's also there, and he's not just the shoes. He's got this J. Harden brand, and he's got this wine. Have you heard about the wine that he sold there?
No.
So he joined a live stream. 15 million viewers tuned in this, and this is all through the a Chinese report. Global Times, I believe, is the name of it. How many bottles do you usually sell in a day from one store? This is one of the hosts asking Harden this question. And he goes, a few cases. That was his response. Then the host said, watch how quickly, let's see how quickly we can sell them. And Harden says, show me. And he sits back and he says, ready, go. And 14 seconds later, 5,000 orders were placed at $60 for 2 bottles. And they raked in $300,000.
Oh my gosh!
Within 14 seconds.
Incredible.
So he's pushing the brand of himself there as well, and he's saying all these things while he's there as part of the PR push.
And again, it's money. Like it's all that it is. Like they're going to speak well of China, especially while they are there, because they're making a ton of money from China. Right. Now the NBA has sort of learned their lesson in that it's kind of just a silence from them. They just allow things to happen and money to change hands and to make all the money without going out of their way to praise China. They just don't talk about it.
They don't denounce or say anything. They punish more.
The players aren't that way. You know, Kyrie Irving's going to make money off this Chinese brand he's associated with now. James Harden's going to go over there. He's going to make a ton of money. Hutton just had a great illustration of he's making money off wine.
He's saying these comments
because of it, and then it's happening.
Things like this, yeah.
Yeah, it's just... It's all it is. They're not looking into human rights violations. These guys know what they know, and they know how rich they're getting off of China, so they're going to speak highly of China. None of this surprises me.
Chad, Dalvin Cook is now with the New York Jets, of course, and he said recently, hey, one of the big reasons I ended up signing with the Jets it has to do with the quarterback.
Being on the other side of that for the last 6 years, I couldn't be on the other side no more. So it was just like I got the chance to go join them and, help them win again. That was a big thing to come over here.
And he also continued with more love for the New York Jets, not just with Aaron Rodgers.
I think collectively, when I came on my visit, I think I pretty much seen everything I needed to see. It was good vibe with the coaches, the players, everybody around the building. And, obviously, when you dig deep and look into the roster, I think all the pieces are put together. I think I can come help these guys. And you look at the running back room with MC, Brees, Bam, and all those guys, with me just adding to it, I think it could be something special.
It seemed like a college visit because, they had.
Yeah, so if he's taking the visit, he's got and you heard the report at the very end, seemed like a college visit. It did, because they were in training camp practice, and he's out on the sideline watching with staff from the front office and his agent. But, Chad, the one thing you left out is the Jets offered the most. So
Jets offered the most,
with New York.
and I'll start with something else that starts with OFF, offensive line. That's the big possible tripping point for the Jets this year, is their offensive line. Episode 2 of Hard Knocks got into that. They got lit up by Robert Saleh after a joint practice, and Aaron Rodgers was not pleased at all with the offensive line during that time. And if there's going to be anything that stops them from being great, it is that group. So Dalvin Cook is right. You don't even have to do a deep dive the way he described to see how good that roster is and the potential. But the one possible issue for him and the other running backs he mentioned, and for the offense, will be who's blocking for them.
They've got multiple pieces, except for multiple pieces for depth issues or concerns up front. And the offensive line drop-off, Chad, in the NFL right now, from starter to backup, that running back, for instance, that's why they're not getting paid what they want to get paid, because they feel like it's, we'll just turn to the next guy. Wide receiver, after your top elite number one guys, by and large, you can find those guys in a heap. They're in a pile of the offseason, and they're not signed immediately after the first phase of free agency, because many feel like you can find that guy wherever you want to look at any time of year. True or false, that's how some of these guys latch on right before the start of camp. But O-linemen, there is a huge drop-off in athleticism. Brought this up with Anthony Munoz, but especially at the tackle spot and what you're asked to do now, or the pulling guards in certain run situations for what they want to do. It's not just downhill in a cloud of dust anymore, 3 yards. They want to try to get to the edge, and you got to have the athleticism at guard and center that, quite frankly, across the board, you don't have against the bigger defensive linemen that these guys aren't facing on a weekly basis in college. And the USFL is a great example. As far as development is concerned, if you're an athlete and you're a massive football player, you're playing on the defensive line rushing the passer, not the other way around. And the Jets' dilemma is a dilemma for the vast majority of every NFL franchise right now.
It almost feels like the drop-off from starting quarterback in the league to backup quarterback.
Yeah.
And for years, it was the guard position that was almost interchangeable.
Yeah.
That was always a mid to late round guy. And the throwaway thought was, you can get an undrafted guy that can come in and be serviceable at guard. That's no longer the case. It is a position where you're giving up a lot of pass rush up the middle. If you're guard, if there's a drop-off from your starter to your backup, and there's a big drop-off for almost everyone. Where for a while it was just, these are road graders. These are guys that are there to just move bodies and do nothing else. But now we've seen teams where their season gets blown up because they allow too much pressure up the middle with some of these dynamic pass rushers, the Aaron Donald movement, the Jeffrey Simmons, the guys who can wreck a game. Quinton Williams of the Jets, a team we're talking about, guys up the middle that can destroy the hopes of offenses. If you don't have good guard play to be able to slow that down, you're lost. And there is a big drop-off from starter to backup at that position in the league, where for years there wasn't that much of a drop-off.
Chad, while we're talking Jets, tell me about the prediction of the mentalist that was a part of Hard Knocks this past week's episode, predicting the selection of Mecole Hardman and the Jets, who they would be facing the final score of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so he started out with this thing where he does puzzle pieces And then he like scrambles them, and then he just says, now close your eyes and put the hands down. Now separate them and separate the pieces. Now reach down and grab one. He grabs one, and it happens to be the piece to complete the puzzle that's on the board of a Jets logo. And then he's like, now think of who you're going to play in the Super Bowl. Okay, you got that team. Who is it? Now what's the score? And he's turning it around as he's saying, now what's the team and the score? And I think it's 31-21 Jets over 49ers was the guess. It's unbelievable, by the way.
Oz Perlman, is that his name?
Oz.
Oz.
Yeah.
And look what
but you
happened.
know what? I feel like Robert Saleh said Oz.
Yeah, I think it's Oz.
Yeah, when he introduced
I
him,
believe
like,
he was on
it's
America's
Oz?
Got Talent with when Stern was hosting, I think. But look at what's happened over the last 24 hours with him. The Jets 49ers, the most bet Super Bowl matchup in sports books, and the Jets are the most bet team to win the Super Bowl based on what people are placing on what this.
Wouldn't that be a
Oz
story?
Perlman. How much is
Like if you want to if you want to add flames to the whole NFL is fixed storyline, I mean this is it. Yeah, that it's scripted and fixed and they know what's going to happen. This would be the one where everyone could be up in arms and say, this dude knew this, and so did Mecole Hardman in the preseason on Hard Knocks.
See, it would take just one bet.
Be like the Sports Almanac
It would be
from
his bet
Back to the Future
that I
too.
would follow if that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Not Mecole Hardman's.
No, but it's still crazy.
Coming up
I have
from
no
the
idea how
Jets
that
to
guy
the
does that.
Giants, we've got Leonard Marshall about to join us. One of the great defensive linemen hops on Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow across the OutKick network.
Do you feel as if, well, I'm pretty certain I know your answer because I know how I felt in college. I had to take, my major was actually chemistry at first as well. And I had to take a lot of ethics courses and different, I actually took a gender study course as well. And I felt like I had to tailor my papers a certain way to get a good grade. And what I'm noticing is across the country, that's the consensus. Even in the South, like where I went, University of Kentucky, we felt this way. And so I entirely agree with you that this is, it's happening all over. About the backlash, how I mentioned, she came out and essentially used the argument of your argument was based in white supremacy. Have you gotten a lot of backlash, or do you just kind of get the name calling, such as being called a racist for saying freedom of speech should exist?
Isn't that crazy to be called a racist? Calling out being suppressed in school. It's so weird to see where people's heads are at. But yeah, there has been a lot of backlash, a lot of name calling, obviously. And the death threats or I'm gonna show up at your house. I'm like, okay, please do.
Yeah.
Like it's just a lot of that. And like I haven't had a ton of questioning of what I'm saying because they actually have no objection to what I'm saying. They're just like, you're transphobic. And I'm like, okay, but you have no real argument. That says a lot more about you than me. And it says that my argument is real and I actually am saying the truth and you can't even argue against that. So you're just going to call me a name.
And I love that you can acknowledge that, because this cancel culture that we live in, they want you to think you'll be canceled. They want you to be scared of the name calling. But that really is all it is. And it speaks more to their insecurities than it does to yours. I saw people on TikTok, Olivia. I saw people coming for your eyebrows. Is that what they're going to resort to? And you're right. It's because they can't dissuade from your argument, which is actually really powerful. And it should boost your confidence. I think when people can look at a situation and take the negative, such as the backlash you're getting, which does suck. There's no taking away from that. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. It does take a toll on you. But if you can take that backlash you're getting and ultimately use it to fuel your argument, I wish more people had that same perspective that you have. But what about the positive? Have you received a lot of good feedback? Have you had a lot of doors being open for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the opportunities that I have had are just absolutely incredible. And the support from people like you and all these other speakers who have spoken up about, men in their sports. And the ones that really stick out to me are actually the parents of young girls who are messaging me and saying, I have 2 daughters who are running cross country just like you did. Thank you so much for protecting them. Thank you so much for sticking up for them in their futures. And I'm like, that's why I'm doing this. It's not really for me. It's for all of these other girls, and not even just girls, but for college students, for young men, like all of these people. I want to help them. I mean, America was built on freedom of speech. That's why we are what we are. And colleges are now trying to take that away. And like we said earlier, it's going down a bad path.
You know, Olivia, you sound like you're filled with hate. You sound just super hateful. No, how could anyone listen to your argument and say that that's hateful? I mean, I hear the compassion coming from your voice, advocating for what you're advocating for. It really is for everyone, all ages, all sexual orientations, even all gender identities. That's who you're advocating for, to be able to speak freely.
Sixth and Peabody, our location with EHA Beer and Old Smoky Moonshine. Glad you're with us for Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow here on the OutKick Network. Coming up, Quinton Aaron, who portrayed Michael Orr in the film The Blind Side, will be with us. Plus, Mike Gunselman, the Gun Show in studio here on site. Right now, though, pleased to be joined by Leonard Marshall, New York Giants great, 12 years as an NFL defensive lineman, most notably with the G-Men, two-time Super Bowl champ. Great to have you on. Hope things are well.
Hey, fellas, I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Doing very well. As you survey the game today, Leonard, and you see the fines, the flags, the rules set up for the offense, do you think to yourself, man, I'd love to play right now, or man, I'm glad I was able to get after the quarterback and offensive lineman when I did?
Well, I'll tell you, the game is a lot different now. You know, I tell people, you know, when I look at it now, compared to the years that we played. I mean, half the quarterbacks that Lawrence Taylor and I together combined for over 230 quarterback sacks in our career. Half of those guys that were in the hospital would have cost us millions and millions of dollars that we've been playing football in this era of football. I think the game has changed. I think the game has turned into the WWE of that sport, where it's very entertaining, high points, lots of guys getting into the game. And they've taken away from the old structure where it was defense, defense, defense. Now it's about scoring points and putting fans in seats and selling more product and getting all the social media you can for just doing your job.
Would your hit on Joe Montana in the NFC Championship game in '91, would that be a big penalty and fine if it happened to a quarterback today?
I think a lot of the plays that were made in the 80s would have been of such. I think that many of the plays that were made, not only by guys on my team, guys on other teams as well. I mean, I look at the play with Joe Theismann where Joe breaks his leg in the game, you know, and I don't know if people, you know, really truly know the story on that, but Joe's leg kind of collapsed because he stepped in a hole and kind of stepped into a bucket. And, you know, once he tried to move his leg snapped. It wasn't so much the hit that Lawrence made on Joe that broke his leg. It's just the way he stepped and, you know, on that field at RFK. But, you know, plays like that remain in your mind as a player because you never want to see stuff like that in the game. And, you know, the one thing I could tell you about the Montana play, you know, I didn't go out to try to hurt Joe or injure Joe or put Joe in the hospital or cause any cancellation of his career. My thing was just trying to make a football play to help my team win a game. And it just so happened that all those things happened in the course of that game.
Yeah, and have you had any contact with Joe Montana since then?
Joe and I have seen each other a few times, and I've seen a few of his teammates at a few card shows and autograph signings around the country. And, you know, I still respect the guy. I think he's the greatest player at quarterback position I ever played against. And I played against them all. I mean, Marino, Kelly, Elway, Boomer, Esiason, I played against them all. I think that even Troy Aikman, I think that of all those guys, there will never be another Joe Montana.
I'm watching Hard Knocks with the New York Jets, and Method Man, the rapper and actor, is on there talking to the team, and Method Man quotes Bill Parcells to the New York Jets.
That's
right?
funny.
Your old coach, obviously known for a lot of teams around the league, but for me, he's the New York Giants coach during that great era of when you were playing. I think of a coach like that, Leonard, and I think, would Bill Parcells work well in today's NFL, or is that also a bygone era, the way he went about his business?
Well, Parcells had a motto when you played defense for him, and his motto was, when hit popular, the body will bend or break. So he wanted to inflict pain on guys and have them think about the pain endured to play against his defense. I mean, people talk about the 85 Bears. They talk about how great that football team was and that defense was. You go back and look at the 1986 New York Football Giants. My defense gave up 3 points in our run for a Super Bowl. We gave up 3 points the whole playoffs. That's including the NFC Championship game and the game prior to that. We beat the 49ers 49-3. We beat the Redskins 17-0. We were the first team ever in the history of pro football to beat a rival, a one-on-one rival in its own conference 3 times in the same year, and beating the Washington Redskins the way we did. So, I arguably disagree with folks that the Bears were better than us. I just think it was their time in '85 and it was our time in '86.
Leonard Marshall with us. How much trash talk went on between both of those defenses back-to-back years on who was better?
There was a little bit of trash talk, but not a lot, because we respected those guys the same way they respected us.
Yeah.
And, most of those players are great players and pretty decent friends and guys I respect when I see them today. Richard Dent's one of my dearest guys on the planet, and Mike Singletary, I have the utmost respect for. Wilbur Marshall and Big O, Otis, the outside linebacker.
Otis Anderson.
Otis Wilson.
Otis Wilson, yeah.
Yeah. Those guys are, Danny Hampton, Jimbo Covert. All those guys are great guys, and think the world of them. And kudos to their success. But I just think that our defense, the '86 Giants, was something really special. I think our front seven was something really special.
Leonard Marshall, our guest, Giants great. You can follow him on social at Leonard Marsh 70. You're a great person to give perspective with this, Leonard. So I don't know if you saw the headline or not, but the offensive players in Washington with the Commanders, they seem a bit upset with how intense, quote unquote, Eric Bieniemy has been since he arrived as the coordinator. And I'm thinking, man, you're from an era where Parcells, to start practice, would have one-on-ones, and you just knocked the complete piss out of someone as hard as you could for 30 straight minutes, and then practice started. Like, it is a totally different mentality with the player today.
Absolutely. Well, kudos to my boy, Eric Bieniemy. That's my frat brother.
Okay.
He's a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. So got to give you a big shout out on that. Rude dog. The old school football needs to come back. I mean, it used to be that, offense wins games and defenses win championships. And that needs to return. That needs to return to the game, I think, in order for teams to really, become great again, dominant and great again. And I've seen signs of it by teams. I've seen signs of weakness by teams. I thought the Rams, 3 years ago would be tough to be beaten for a couple of years. Now I see it a complete team effort in that Kansas City Chiefs team on both sides of the football, and I love it because that means they compete hard in practice and they play well on Sunday.
Well, and I know you agree with this too. We're not going to see that era again based on the brain injuries, research that's being done, lawsuits that are going on, or if they're afraid that could happen. And that firsthand based on CTE and diagnosis and other things. How are you feeling in that regard? And where are you in terms of, coming to grips with the fact that you're having to live with it currently?
Well, one of the things I've been doing, guys, outside of football now that, I'm on the other side, I've been spending a lot of time with dealing with the mental aspect of understanding how to live with CTE and understand how to live with early stage Parkinson's. You know, I've done well with it. Kudos to my wife. She's done a great job taking care of me. I've lost about 53, 55 pounds over the last few years. I'm on a pretty good diet right now, back to a real exercise routine. You know, I just dropped my pant size by 4 inches. Actually, I dropped my pant size by 8 inches. I'm wrong on that. Dropped my jacket size by 6 inches. So I'm sleeping better, taking the supplements, doing the right thing, and just trying to stay as holistic as I can through the process. You know, turning 62 has become fun because I can do some of the things I used to do when I was a bit younger. I've got a grandson now.
Great.
My son's an attorney here practicing law in New York. So I get a thrill out of that, seeing him and his wife and our grandson. And, you know, weekends at the Marshall house are fun again. They didn't used to be fun, but now they're fun again.
Leonard, I hope you don't mind me going down this path because I mean this genuinely. But, you know, I've got a buddy of mine who played in the league. Haven't talked to him in a while. He left town. But the headaches, the cobwebs, you mentioned the mental aspect, the thoughts of just giving up and having friends of his who have done that over the years and have left notes. Are you scared of that? Are you concerned that you could also be faced with that? Have you talked about that? How do you confront it?
Dude, that's my greatest fear. That's why I do everything I can to fight the urge and fight some of those demons. I mean, you know, I lost a bunch of friends to it. You know, I lost a very dear friend, a fraternity brother, and Dave Durison to the problem. We've lost, you know, Andre Waters, Junior Seau, Reggie Roby, David Little. I mean, I could just sit here and rattle off names of guys. You know, my good buddy down in Dallas, Texas, Tony Dorsett, is dealing with some of the same issues. You know, all I can say is pray for these men. You know, what we did as players made us heroes. What we need now in terms of prayer and real acknowledgement of what we're going through makes us human. Most people think that we're not. They don't understand how God can run so fast, be so big and strong and quick and do some of the things that we've done over the course of the years of our lives. And, you know, we were blessed with a talent, and we took that talent and we entertained the world with it. And we hope that the league continues to care for those that help build the game of football, guys who made it fun, not only in your era of football when you watch, but for these kids to come forward now. I mean, football is becoming fun to watch again. You know, points are scored, players are active. I can't wait to watch Jalen Hyatt in a Giants uniform. We've never had a receiver as a Giant to score 5 touchdowns in a game against Alabama the way this guy did last year. And now he's a New York Giant. So I'm dying to watch a kid like that play the game of football. So, you know, it's exciting again to watch. And it's unfortunate the defenses have to pay for it, but guess what? You know, it's the game, it's the business, and, you know, fans love it.
Very well said. We had a chance to interview Jalen Hyatt a couple times, including at the Super Bowls. He's getting ready for the draft. He's surprised he fell to where he did, but the Giants do pick him up. Exciting times right now for the Giants. Clearly, you're a guy still following that franchise, Leonard. What do you think about the prospects for this team with Daniel Jones, Jalen Hyatt, Saquon Barkley back in the mix now?
Well, you talk to me next week. I'm going to practice on Tuesday with my business partner from Rockefeller Global Management, Mr. Ed Moldaver, and Mr. James Lee. I'm dying to watch them work, to see the progression from last year to this year, to watch our defensive front play a little bit, and just see how they're moving and everything else. But it's going to be exciting to watch our team this year. We got 3 receivers on that side of the ball that they could light it up. You know, it's going to be. I'm going to see if Daniel really, you know, is willing and willing to earn that money. To earn that money, we paid him this offseason because you know, he's getting paid. You know, to whom much is given, much is expected, guys. That's the game of football. You know, we had a receiver last year that couldn't catch a cold, and we kind of got rid of him. So we got some guys now that can catch the ball. So there's no excuses. Your best either has to come out or be gone, one or the other.
Hey, man, I think the underrated addition of the offseason no one talks about is Waller.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
that could be that's the little addition that puts them over the top, I think, Leonard.
A friend of mine told me he catches everything in practice, guy. Everything.
That's what you're looking for. Hey,
Yeah.
great to catch up with you, man. Hopefully we can do this down the road. Really appreciate the visit and the perspective.
Thank you very much, fellas. Have a great rest of the week.
Yeah,
Hey, same
too.
to you.
Good
Thank you.
weekend
This has
there.
been great.
Leonard Marshall, 2-time Super Bowl champion. The stories that guy could tell in the book.
Omega Psi Phi fraternity member also.
Yeah.
As we found out there.
I believe, was McNair there too?
Yep. Q-Dogs.
Mac 9.
They go by.
Mac 9.
Right? That's what Steve McNair would always say.
Chad, Quinton Aaron about to join us. He portrayed Michael Orr in the film The Blind Side, and he'll have tons of perspective on his portrayal of the player, but also Sandra Bullock and the Oscar that should not be handed over.
She finds herself in a bit of controversy. I always want to say
Not really, though.
controversy, the way that British people say it. I want to change to say it that way, but it sounds so
we should
weird
call
coming
it
from
that
me.
when there's not really controversy. It's just kind of a
You got to be British.
stirring
when the British person says controversy, I'm always jealous. They
but
get
it's
to
like
say it that way.
a Dory Jackson. We called him Adore if he
Yeah.
wasn't good on that Sunday.
When it's not a real controversy, the fake controversy is controversy. Sandra Bullock's controversy next.
Yeah,
with
Quinton Aaron will join us coming up on Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow across the OutKick Network.
Hey, Davey Hudson of OutKick here. We are at SEC Media Days 2023 in Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to go talk to some players, see what they have to say. What's the best purchase you've made from an NIL deal so far?
Tag watch right here.
Far.
Best purchase? I probably just give it back to my son for real. That's probably my best purchase every time.
Man, pay my truck off. Definitely.
A house. My wife and I bought a house, so that's been huge. Being able to save that money up and buy a house.
This chain here.
The best purchase? I'd probably say helping my mom out with school.
Ooh, the best purchase? Probably the shoes. The shoes I got on right now.
The best purchase I made, well, the best NIL deal I've had is free steaks from Marksbury Farms, so keep me fed and beefed up.
With it?
Ooh, purchase? Probably a new golf bag. Or recently I played TPC Sawgrass this past weekend, and that was from I used that money from a deal I made, so that's up there too.
Probably getting my sister through college, helping my family out a lot. That's probably my best purchase I've done.
Best purchase? Probably my my mom and dad anniversary gift.
The best purchase I've made? I got a yoga mat the other day, and that's helped me a lot. Just flexibility and everything like that, so probably that.
Best purchase? My smile.
Best purchase? I would say my best purchase was having my school supply drive.
Landon, what is your favorite sports movie of all time?
Remember the Titans for sure. Sport movie, I say Love and Basketball. That's my favorite.
Got to be Remember the Titans, for sure.
Remember the Titans. I mean, it's top movie ever.
Probably Longest Yard.
I'd probably say Like Mike with Bow Wow. Yeah.
My favorite sports movie, Remember the Titans.
Air Bud.
Perfect answer, actually.
I really don't know. I don't have one.
Movie? I haven't seen many, but does Sandlot count?
Favorite sports movie of all time? Probably Coach Carter.
Ooh, sports movie, probably The Express.
Happy Gilmore.
The Little Giants.
Amari, what was your most favorite sports movie growing up?
Remember the Titans.
Barbie or Oppenheimer? Which one are you and the boys seeing first?
I don't know the other one, but definitely not Barbie.
Oppenheimer, gotta be. I'm not against the Barbie movie, though. I tried to recommend it. I was shut down pretty fast.
Oppenheimer. Come on now. You don't need to ask me that question. Oppenheimer looks good, though.
What's Oppenheimer?
It's a movie about the atomic bomb. It's the big thing that comes out this Thursday.
Yeah, probably that.
Oppenheimer.
Wait, what was the other one?
Barbie or Oppenheimer?
The opposite of Barbie. The opposite of Barbie. Yeah, so I'm not.
We're gonna see Oppenheimer and then follow with Barbie.
Solid choice.
I don't even know what Oppenheimer is. I don't want to see Barbie though.
Oppenheimer, 100%.
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
Say a little bit louder.
Oppenheimer.
Oh, we're gonna watch both of them. Maybe on the same night. We'll probably watch. I think you gotta watch Barbie first, just so you're not. Oppenheimer might be a little too intense. You know what I'm saying? So you warm up with Barbie and then you go to the Oppenheimer.
The second one. Oppenheimer.
Barbie or Oppenheimer? Which one are you and the boys seeing first?
Barbie.
Sixth and Peabody, our location with Yeehaw Beer and Old Smoky Moonshine. Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow rolls on across the OutKick network. Congratulations to Chad. On the truck.
Oh, thank you. I'm a truck guy. I'm a pickup man, as they say in the country song. Something women like about a pickup man. Yeah, it gets me all choked up thinking about it. 41 years on this earth.
You've always wanted this. Chad has talked about this.
Never saw myself as a truck guy, but I always knew that maybe I could get there one day. And it took that long, and I decided, you know what? It's time. I am now a Ford F-150 owner. Truck guy over here.
Chad, in terms of sports movies, if you start rattling off, friends of ours, we're at a bar, just like, hey, let's discuss, name top sports movies. The Blind Side's on the list.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think when you go through critically acclaimed sports movies, especially, it's right up there. How many of them have Oscars attached to it?
Right. Exactly.
There's not many. I think Sylvester Stallone won an Oscar for screenplay, for Best Original Screenplay for the original Rocky. But, yeah, I mean, it's few and far between to find that.
Our next guest, Quinton Aaron, portrayed Michael Orr in The Blind Side, and he joins us now. Quinton, thank you for the time, man. We really appreciate it, and hope things are well.
Thank you. How's everything?
Doing very well here. Were you surprised as we were on Monday when everything came out with this story between Orr and the allegations against the Tuohys and what he filed in court?
Absolutely. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. Like, when I saw the article pop up, at first I didn't read it. I saw Blind Side and I said, oh, okay, it's almost football season. I guess they're putting something else out about the movie. And then people started sending it to me. And so I'm reading it. I'm like, wait, what? You know, and it's just shocked. Like, I'm like, wow. But man, it's I wasn't expecting that.
How much research for you went into this when you got ready for the role and took it? There's a lot of confusion out there we'll get to with people about the role of an actor versus, reality. But when you accepted this role to portray Michael Orr, what all went into that decision and getting ready to be a part of this film?
Man, it was honestly on my part, it was a lot of physical training was the biggest thing for me. I had to lose 100 pounds to portray the character. And we did that over like 11 weeks. So it was like brutal training physically to get in shape to look like a football player, look like an athlete. Aside from that, the acting part, the only challenge was trying not to be nervous around Sandra. You know what I mean? That's Sandra Bullock. I mean, come on, Demolition Man, Speed, The Net, and Miss Congeniality. I'm like, I was so nervous working with her, but she made it cool. She made it comfortable. And at the end of the day, we all became like a tight-knit family throughout the process. So it was definitely a blessing to work on, and it couldn't have come at a better time in my life personally, having just lost my mom a few months prior to getting the part, you know.
How old were you at the time, and how did you land the role?
I was 24. My mom got me the audition. When we started filming, I was 24. I first auditioned when I was 23, actually. And, well, 22. Actually, I was 22. We auditioned in 2007. October was the first time. But it was around the time of the other writer strike that was going on. And it was just a lot of stuff. It was with a different studio, and then it got put on hold. And when it finally came back around, so much had happened. My mom passed away. I was about to get evicted. Then I got a phone call that changed everything.
Quinton, one of the complaints from the real Michael Orr and all this was that he had to fight a perception that he was dumb because of how he was portrayed in the movie. When I watched the movie, I never thought, man, Michael Orr was dumb. I thought this is a guy who didn't have a lot of opportunities growing up and had a really rough go of it. Did you try to portray him as dumb in the movie? What was the thought process with the character when you went into it?
No, it wasn't so much portraying him as dumb. The director wanted to do certain things, and all I had to go on was the script. I'd never met Michael before because at the time we were working on the project, he was doing combine to get into the league. So he had no time to give to the production at all. He wasn't around. All I had to go off was the script and the direction from the director. So I think at the core of what we were doing was we wanted him to come off as someone who he did have a rough go at it, but he was humble. He was a gentle giant and not someone who you should fear or be afraid of unless you came at his family. And that was the kind of personality. But, you know, when you're dealing with a kid who grew up in a foster system, who wasn't in school, you know, he didn't have much schooling as according to the story that I had. So there were certain things you wouldn't expect them to know, you know. But as far as the stuff where they were playing around with the football, that was, you know, kind of like Hollywood blemishes. He never needed to be taught how to play the game, and that was something that aggravated him about the way they went with the story. But, you know, I mean, he ended up looking like a rock star after all. So sometimes people try things out and take certain liberties with the project, but I think in the movie sense, it wound up working out overall. I mean, it's the highest grossing sports film of all time, you know, aside from Cars, the Pixar movie, but yeah.
Quinton Aaron, our guest, actor and musician here on Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow. How prevalent were the Tuohys during the filming of this, and what was your perception of them if they were there?
They came to set a couple of times. I met Collins first. I was passing her in the lunchroom, and we hugged it out and spoke for a little bit. Then I went upstairs, met her mom, Leanne, and I met Sean one other time. But then I don't remember if I met SJ until later on. I think it was like the premiere or one of the screenings or something where I saw SJ for the first time. But yeah, they were all cool. They were all like very warm, welcoming, and I remember Leanne telling me that I looked just like Michael at the time, and I was like, "Wow, that's cool." Because I hadn't seen a picture, I didn't know what he looked like.
Oh, really?
I didn't. Yeah, I think the first time I saw what Michael looked like was when we saw the movie for the first time, and at the end they had the pictures of the real family stuff, and that was the first time I saw what Michael looked like.
Was that intentional on your part for the role to not want to see what he looked like going into it?
No, I think I didn't think about it. I know that he wasn't around. As a matter of fact, I remember the director telling me he wanted me to be myself in the role. He was like, you know, bring your personality, bring your lightheartedness to it, because, you know, Michael today is not Michael that he was at the time that you'd be portraying him, and so he didn't want me to meet a more hip, successful, upbeat Michael and then try and portray that character. So in light of what I was going through at the time and the emotions that I was carrying, he told me, be yourself. You are who the audience is going to see.
Quinton Aaron, our guest here on OutKick. Your reaction, we were reading your quotes earlier this week, your reaction when you heard that there was someone or a petition going around about Sandra Bullock giving back the Oscar based on this story that took place earlier this week.
Yeah, I was saying to someone, I said, I feel like those are the little basement troll, keyboard trolls that want to throw salt in salt in the sea or gas on the flames or something like that. They just want to start something. I'm like, imagine like you had a peaceful protest and you get a looter just like, I'm gonna throw this brick through the window and I'm gonna start some, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's what that is. One, her performance in the movie has nothing to do with what's going on today in the stories that came out today. And the reason why I feel so strongly about that is because not only did she do a great job and she deserves that, like, what if I was nominated? What if I won? You're gonna ask to take mine back too? I gotta tell you, I'm not giving up mine without a fight. So I wouldn't expect her to give up hers without a fight, and rightfully so, because there's nothing that permits people to take back her award, because her award was based on her performance. It wasn't based on whether the movie was true or false. She got nominated, she won a Best Actress award, not Best True Story award.
Right.
Yeah, so, and that's just the way I feel.
She did her job.
I could be wrong, but it's my opinion.
She did her job and did it better than anyone on the planet.
Yeah.
For the voting of that award.
Too good of a job, I guess, for certain people that she did so well portraying her. Who was the best coach at portraying himself in the movie? Nick Saban, Philip Fulmer, of the guys you were around, when you watched me, you thought, man, that guy did the best job being himself on camera?
Man, what's funny? All of the coaches kind of brought something cool to the table, because mostly you see them on the sideline, in the games and everything, but getting a sense of who they are and how they talk off camera to us, as opposed to when the camera came on, it was the same thing with a lot of them. It was kind of like you didn't really see a difference. It was like action, which is cool because they were hired to be themselves.
Yeah.
So you didn't want to see, hi, I'm Phil Fulmer, and then action, hi, I'm Phil Fulmer. You didn't want to see that. You know what I mean? So you wanted, so they were they brought the same energy, which was cool, and it worked out. I think Nick Saban was, he was my favorite coach at the time because he was the only one that gave me a gift, and I was like, oh, that's awesome.
What did he give you?
He gave me a Alabama jumpsuit.
Did you?
Yeah.
And did you wear it?
I did. I actually wore it one day on set. I have a picture somewhere. I can't remember. It's my archives. There's a picture of me like I'm doing an arm curl like this, and then Jay from the movie is hanging upside down on my arm, and he's like with his legs locked around my arm up here and his body hanging upside down. I have that picture somewhere, but I'm wearing the Alabama jumpsuit in that picture.
Quinton Aaron, our guest. You mentioned the energy from them, and they brought it to the set. Your energy now is in your music. And tell us about the debut single, Lead With Love, which is available.
Yes. So Lead With Love is a song that represents a motto of mine. I believe in leading my life with love. I do a lot of things out of love. My mom told me a long time ago, always present yourself how you want to be perceived. She said, because you're a big person, you stand out. People will see you. People are going to watch you. If you want them to be afraid of you, then be a more aggressive version of yourself so that they know to stay the hell away from you. But I was like, that's not the vibes I want to put out. So I just kind of always be me, hopefully it rubs off to people and they get on board and do more things out of love and stop making hate viral, make love viral.
We're with you, man. You can follow Quinton on social at Quinton Aaron. Thank you for the visit and the perspective here, the firsthand perspective of portraying Michael Orr, and firsthand perspective that is obvious. Sandra Bullock needs to keep that Oscar for doing the job and doing it very well, as you did as well, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Appreciate it. There's Quinton Aaron, great dude.
Really
and,
yeah,
it's just.
It's good to get that
I
side
would be intimidated
of the whole,
too around Sandra Bullock.
Good to get that whole side of the story also. Also, he went through Sandra Bullock's movies, went through some good, The Proposal. I'd like to throw that out there as another great Sandra Bullock entry into the canon of Sandra Bullock.
Fulmer also told us one time he was intimidated by Sandra Bullock on set. He said he was nervous.
I've heard that she's very nice to everyone on set too.
Sounds like
from
it.
people there.
Headlines next, including fights in the NFL, and apparently they continue.
Two biggest social media giants, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, are set to battle it out, and I'm here on Broadway asking people who they put their money on. Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, they're gonna fight each other. Who do you think's gonna win?
I think Mark's got him.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because he's a man.
Okay, and Elon Musk isn't.
Oh, well, of course, he's got money.
Okay.
He's got money. Money, well, money's money.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg in a fight?
I don't know. I'm going to go with Musk.
Why?
He just seems like he's a little bit younger, a little bit smarter.
You just got a good feeling about him?
I got a good feeling.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg?
Musk.
Why?
He trains. That guy's going to beat his.
But Mark Zuckerberg is actually training jiu-jitsu for 9 months.
Not happening. Not Elon Musk all day. Elon Musk.
Why do you think?
He has no soul. I mean, I think he's definitely just going to no holds barred.
Elon Musk.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. I feel like he's stronger and smarter.
Oh, Elon Musk.
All the way? Why?
All the way. He's an animal. Think about it.
Mark Zuckerberg's been training for 9 months jiu-jitsu. You think Elon Musk can take him?
Yeah, I think he can take him.
Elon, that oh God, stop playing with Elon. Elon really do this out here, for real.
I hope Elon
Really? Why do you think so?
got better ideas.
Zuckerberg's like 5'7", 155. Musk is 6'1", 190. But Zuckerberg's been training jiu-jitsu for 9 months. Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, who's going to win in a fight?
Oh, Elon Musk. No doubt.
Why do you think so?
He's the GOAT. I've been seeing all the Twitter handles and all the talk, and I'm on Elon Musk's side. I'm ready for them to get in the WWE ring and then come off the top rope. That's what I want to see. I want to see a people's elbow to Mark Zuckerberg.
If one was more likely to be a lizard or a robot, who would it be?
Elon.
Okay.
I think Mark Zuckerberg will win.
Why do you think that?
Because I think he already trains MMA. So he's got like the prior experience and stuff. I mean, they're both billionaires, so they have the opportunity to get the best training. But I think Mark Zuckerberg will pull away with the win.
Elon Musk.
Why do you think so?
Because he's bigger.
Bigger, okay, but Mark Zuckerberg's been training jiu-jitsu for 9 months. Do you think that matters?
No.
Zuckerberg, he's part alien or robot, so he may have some secret powers that we don't know about.
I was gonna say, is that an advantage? Does he have an advantage over Elon Musk then?
Yeah, I mean, if he, sheds his skin and becomes an alien and eats everyone, yeah, I think so.
Elon Musk is mental, so Elon Musk.
All it is just he's mental, he's mentally crazy, so.
He just wouldn't care, would he?
Okay.
He'd just absolutely go for it. I think Zuckerberg would be a bit more refrained.
Okay.
If that should ever happen, which I doubt, but you never know, it'd be entertaining.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg?
Elon Musk.
Why?
Because my dad is in love with Elon Musk.
Okay.
I think I'm going to have to go with Zuckerberg. I mean, Threads just came out, so.
Who do you think would win?
Zuck.
Why do you think so?
He's not a real human. He's a robot.
So he'll use that to his advantage?
Yeah, and all the Krav Maga stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you think would win in a fight, Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk?
Elon Musk.
Why do you think Elon Musk?
I think Elon's
He
smarter.
works with robots, so maybe he built a robot to fight for him.
But what if Mark Zuckerberg is a robot?
Oh, wow.
Then I might have to change my answer.
Who do you think's gonna win?
Me.
Just like that, Chad, the final hour of Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow. Friday edition. We've got Gun Show here. He's already hanging out at 6th and Peabody with the beer and
getting ready
Old
to go.
Smoky Moonshine.
He's primed and ready. Friday shows are always fun.
Geared up, pissed off for greatness.
Yeah. Cheers.
Glad you're with us across the OutKick Network.
To our audience, to 6th and Peabody, to our production crew, to everyone, we love you. We appreciate you.
Clay, see you soon.
Have a heck of a weekend.
That's right. You've joined us in the chat.
Did you notice that Kelly in Vegas retweeted the link and just said, thanks to Hutton for having me on? And that was it.
Thank you, Kelly. Or is it Megan? Not sure. If you
No.
miss any of our interviews, you can check it out on demand on Twitter, Facebook, OutKick.com, YouTube, clips there as needed. Chad, we've got mentioned Gunselman coming up. A lot to discuss there. We'll tie in some football. But also the fights. I am not big on talking training camp fights across the league. The joint practices, though, are stirring up more than just a little scuffle here and there. Yesterday, Max Crosby and Cam Akers, the joint practice there between the teams, and you've got Crosby, who is always running on 11. He's always high octane. And he goes and tries to strip the ball, punch the ball out. There's a lowering of the head from Akers into Crosby, and it is described as a melee, not a brawl, which is used far too often in describing camp fights, but a melee.
Yeah, I like the word melee better.
Well, if it fits.
Yeah.
If it fits, and by all accounts, it certainly did here. Here's Crosby's reaction to Cam Akers and the fact that a melee ensued.
Just doing what I do. And he didn't like that, so he got what he got. It is what it is. Back second.
It is what it is.
He got what he got.
I was just doing what I do.
It is what it is.
The two teams got involved. Yeah, this is.
I don't know whether to look and listen at Max Crosby or to read him and view him as a work of art with the amount of tattoos on his body. Like, you almost have to do a freeze frame, and I want to study everything that's going on there. There's a lot happening.
You've got Curse, the safety in Dallas. There have been a lot of scuffles, not melees, scuffles between the offense and defense for the Cowboys. And Curse is saying we're not taking bleep from any of the 32 teams in 2023. Not 31, 32. So there's a chip on the shoulder there. I thought of Dion because the Cowboys tie in, and the fact that all for one for all mentality.
Speaking of Dion, by the way,
Yeah.
this tweet just came down from Brett McMurphy, which made me laugh. He has Pac-12 coaches' favorite musical artists from the Action Network, and he got all of them to say their favorite music. This happens a lot. Like, usually around media days, someone will ask, and everyone gave an answer. And for Colorado and Deion Sanders, it just says would not answer. The only one who would not answer the question was Deion Sanders, to which I made a joke on Twitter about would not answer being a band that we haven't heard of yet. The name would not answer. But yeah, some interesting selections there.
Chet, Mark Andrews tied in for the Ravens. By the way, I would take the over on touchdowns, whatever it is, for Mark Andrews with Lamar Jackson. They're throwing the football more in Baltimore. Mark Andrews slammed Danny Johnson, I believe, is the backup corner. And Johnson suffered a rotator cuff injury because of it, with what was going on there in Baltimore. The NFL, though, here's why it's more of a story during the joint practices. By the way, Johnson's a backup corner for Washington. The NFL, if you fight during the season, if you throw a helmet, you're fined. But if it happens during a joint practice, it's on the teams to police themselves. We saw this with the helmet that was thrown at a player from Aaron Donald. Was this last year or the year prior? I believe it was last year in a joint practice.
He was slinging a helmet around guys who did not have helmets on.
So, the penalties and the enforcement of whatever rules are out there happen whenever the regular season starts, or if it happens in a preseason game.
It's on the teams to discipline practice.
Yes, which is not going. And if you have a joint practice, you're just not going to have. The two teams are not going to enforce anything if stuff breaks out. Now,
if that, just using the Aaron Donald example, this is how teams handle those things internally. If you are a third string or fourth string reserve player
right,
or undrafted guy, you are cut immediately for doing that at practice, for wielding a helmet and trying to hit people that don't have a helmet on in their head, possibly killing or injuring them badly. You're going to be cut immediately. Aaron Donald's not going to have anything happen to him.
Well,
because he's Aaron Donald.
But
that's how they handle it.
Well, the teams have to enforce it, right? So the Jets and the Bucks were having a joint practice. We'll see this next week on Hard Knocks. They were supposed to have another practice, but they can't practice without fighting. So they canceled the second joint practice, and the Buccaneers are up there on the road with nowhere to go. So the Giants are letting the Buccaneers use their practice facility, not the Jets. That's how they're handling it behind the scenes. Meanwhile, there is no enforcement of it, so you're going to continue to see this happen. And it is an idiot test for players if you take a swing at a guy that's wearing a helmet. Now, if you take the helmet off and sling it at people, chances are you're not going to have any suspension, any fine, as long as you're a star player.
Well, who was the guy here for the Titans that just got cut for excessive fighting?
Yeah, one of the offensive linemen.
Well,
Jamarco Jones.
Yeah, and a guy who probably wasn't going to be a factor.
No, he was going to start at right tackle because their starting right tackle was suspended for 6 games.
That guy was really bad at fighting and doing it too often then, if that's the case.
Well, not just fighting. He took a cheap shot at one of their running backs on a low block.
Yeah. I think his situation
not running back, one of the linebackers.
Well, it got to a point where he wasn't going to be liked or respected by his teammates, so they had to let him go. Not a playing time issue. But you know what I'm saying about if there's someone who doesn't factor into the too deep that much, it's easy to let those guys go for fighting. But your stars, you're going to let get away with a lot more when it comes to that.
Yes.
Example, Aaron Donald a year ago.
Chad, Patrick Mahomes is going to win you over here. He's campaigning.
I know the story.
He is lobbying Andy Reid for more quarterback sneaks. He wants more quarterback sneaks. The difference is probably because the kneecap was on the side of my leg as to why they have, not put the former MVP in harm's way. I think we were doing pretty good until that. We were doing really good until last year. I mean, last year we didn't do it well at all, so we didn't get one on the first one. It's the preseason. We're kind of going back and forth, and we're evaluating if we're going to quarterback sneak more or not. Hopefully by this time the season rolls around, we can get back to converting those. Talking about the short yardage line again. He says, hey, we're extremely successful. I haven't been stopped yet. Keep it coming. Tom Brady was the best rusher on his team because when you needed that yard, he got it.
Made my list, Hutton, of best running quarterbacks in the history of the NFL because he's the greatest quarterback sneaker in the history of the league. The dude would get 3 and 4 yards sometimes.
There's an art to it.
On a quarterback sneak with the quick count, knowing when to snap it, knowing the angles to take. It is the most underutilized play in all of football. I've argued this since I was a child. I see it. It works almost all the time, and especially in a college game when I see teams go to the shotgun on 3rd or 4th and 1 or less than 1 and not sneak it in sneak situations. It kills me every time. Sneak the ball. Sneak the ball. The success rate has got to be over 85%. In situations like that. It is one of the most underutilized yet highly effective plays in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes, I back you. I support you. Thank you for saying this. Hopefully Andy Reid listens to him and they do it a lot more.
Well, he says it's not. He doesn't think it's going to happen. Quote, I'm pretty sure he's not going to let me do it unless it's for like the Super Bowl. So I might have to call my own number in the Super Bowl if we get there.
Yeah, I think that watching, the behind the scenes more of a quarterback with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, I think Andy Reid will let him do pretty much anything he wants. I think if he wants to call quarterback sneaks more, that's going to be on Patrick Mahomes to do it. And I think Andy Reid will let him. He gives them a lot of freedom because they've had so much success.
Oh.
He's smart in listening to his quarterback, and they let them design the crazy plays. They do the little merry-go-round deal and stuff like that. They get days of the week where they work on trick plays and then get to run them in the game. So, yeah, Andy Reid's going to let him do whatever he wants.
Aiden Hutchinson is glad that the Jacksonville Jaguars didn't select him with the number 1 overall pick a couple years ago. They selected Trayvon Walker, who by all accounts has been very good within that defense going into this season. But Hutchinson ends up with his hometown Lions at number 2. And how could you not be pleased if you're Aiden Hutchinson right now all the momentum, played very well his rookie season, and ends up now on a team and in a division that's very winnable with playoff hopes that are through the roof for this franchise. He told MLive.com, I'm happy here, very thankful about being passed over by Jacksonville. I mean, it all worked out. It was a divine timing. The way things were, and they went the way they were supposed to go. He's been great, and I still think Jacksonville should have selected him at number 1.
Yeah, I still am not a full believer in the Trayvon Walker pick for Jacksonville at number 1. But Aiden Hutchinson's right. I mean, this was a blessing. The guy is a Michigan man. He's there in Detroit. He's part of this resurgence. Not even a resurgence. It's a birth. They were nothing. It's not like the Lions are trying to get back to who they always were, this great team or a consistent winner. They're trying to become that for the first time ever for the Lions organization. And he gets to be a part of that as a hometown guy, home state guy. I think it's a very cool story. And, yeah, Aiden Hutchinson with the Jags, not nearly as cool as Aiden Hutchinson with the Lions.
Well, would definitely not be receiving the same accolades. And not from the NFL, not from the – I mean, football fans know how good he is. I'm saying if he's on Jacksonville's roster, he is Trayvon Walker in this sense. They've had so many top 5 picks. You know, at top to bottom across Jacksonville's roster, they have very good talent. They've got, of course, Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. But everyone's talking about Detroit and not Jacksonville. And division-wise, the goals are the same for both franchises right now. Jacksonville should win the AFC South. Detroit, I mean, they're opening up the regular season against Kansas City and Mahomes.
Yeah, their goal is, I mean, well within reach to win the NFC North.
No doubt.
I mean, these are two teams that are going into the season where they are saying, not only can we win this division, we should win this division. And I think with Dan Campbell at the helm with Detroit, I guarantee you that's the message to that team going into this season is not can we, it's we should win this division.
From a former Wolverine to a former Buckeye, Ezekiel Elliott is now with the New England Patriots. And here's Bill Belichick discussing why Elliott's a good fit for this Patriots roster. We'll have that coming up. There he is.
We had a good visit with him, and I look forward to working with him. I've never coached Zeke before, but glad we have him, and we'll start. Spend time with him in the last night and on the trip to terminology and plays and protections, things like that. So we'll work him in there when he's ready. We'll see how that goes.
Chad, he's had 22 touchdowns over the last 2 years.
Touchdown machine. 12
touchdowns last season for Dallas. 11 of the 12 came inside the 10-yard line, like right at the goal line. Ramondre Stevenson is still the back. But when you need to score, and this is, I think, underrated right now for Elliott, who's on the back end of his career. The knock is, Ezekiel Elliott, it's Tony Pollard's team in Dallas. It wasn't Ezekiel. Ezekiel Elliott has a knack for scoring the rock. He can put the ball across the goal line. And that's what you're going to need if you're playing this style of ball in New England. It's two teams right now, two teams that play this mentality, New England and Tennessee. And Tennessee was awful at scoring points last year. They got to get back to that. This team needed a run game to support Mac Jones, and they actually had a decent starting 3 wide receiving core if they go to 11 personnel instead of 12. In Nashville, they didn't. So they end up with DeAndre Hopkins. Meanwhile, the run game needed a big boost. They don't go with Dalvin Cook, however. They end up with Ezekiel Elliott. The production inside the 10, if New England can get there, that will benefit Ezekiel Elliott, and that will benefit what was a terrible offense a year ago.
I think you nailed it on the mindset of physical run-first teams with the Titans and the Patriots. The biggest difference to me is division. I mean, the Patriots are in a juggernaut of a division right now. When you look at Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Titans, not so much. Titans can win their division. It's them and Jacksonville. And I don't think Indianapolis and the Texans are much of a factor. Also, I want to give a shout-out to Bill Belichick, who has found a way to put the tone of his voice into such a way. It's gotten even better Every year he perfects it, but speaks in a way that every audio clip makes everyone want to tune out immediately just by the cadence of his voice and sounding so disinterested in whatever the question was and whatever he's talking about. The man is a master, a Jedi master at speaking in a way that makes it sound so not interesting. And that's exactly what he wants, to not have to talk to the media and not have anyone listen to anything he says.
Yeah, you're right.
And he's mastered that way of speaking. I mean, it is unbelievable.
He's just there so he doesn't get fined or whatever Marshawn Lynch was saying.
Can we play this back one more time? And I want everyone to try to stay to the end of this.
How
answer
happy he is.
Of how just awful this audio sounds. And it's not because of the audio quality, because of his voice and cadence. Go ahead.
Good to have Zeke. Yeah, we had a good visit with him, and I look forward to working with him. I've never coached Zeke before, but glad we have him, and we'll start. Spent time with him in the last night and on the trip to terminology and plays and protections, things like that. So we'll work him in there when he's ready. We'll see how that goes.
And I made it 4 words in before I checked out that time. First time
that's
was
his goal.
First time was 7 words, and then the second go around is about 4 words in, and then I didn't hear a word he said after that. Amazing. Good job, Bill.
But
good job.
Belichick's not all
Finally
that bad
made
in
it.
front of a camera and microphone. When he wants to be, he is
No,
excellent.
he's got a
NFL
personality.
Network
That's-
stuff is unbelievable.
That's why I'm making fun of him, because he's doing that on purpose. He's got a great personality. We've seen it when he wants to talk about the history of the game. He's terrific. But when he talks about his football team, he does that purposefully.
You know who always talks well? Mike Gunzelman, Gun Show.
Yeah,
in
he's
studio
right.
with us next on Hot Mic.
What you're experiencing is the bold taste of a Southern legend. Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey, authentic Tennessee mountain-style spirits. We believe in crafting flavors that were born from tradition but defy expectation, and pioneering a new experience with every sip. Because if it doesn't do this, it ain't this. Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey. Come on.
Welcome into OutKick the show. I am Clay Travis, your fearless leader. I am going to continue to argue that sports is one of the great unifying forces in all of American life. ESPN is a sinking ship. Democrats are now the party of the white, woke college graduate.
We live in a land of participation trophies.
You gotta lean into the turns. You really gotta lean into the turns.
When Leah Thomas walked in that first day, it got silent, and every girl was uncomfortable.
Very difficult to go back-to-back years in the NFL with the #1 overall pick.
I just think the way Anthony Bass handled this was so sloppy.
Oh, I think it's perfect.
And
I mean,
what he reposted
he did
and then how he did it.
He bent the knee and bowed. He was going to catch the ceremonial first pitch.
I've been out of LA long enough to have forgotten that libs, no matter how ridiculous the scenario, are gonna live. Another week of inflation, another week with Biden with COVID, and another set of losers to crown. People don't watch the WNBA on TV, in person, on a plane, on a train, on a bus, or on purpose.
The scary thing, Tommy, is in the history of this government, I've never seen them give anything back that they've taken.
Oh no, they never do.
And they won't.
When you're behind closed doors, when you're talking to plant managers, when you're having meetings, when you're with the team, was there an acknowledgement of any of this, an acknowledgement of the situation, the boycott, and then the doubling down about moving away from the fratty image?
We've seen coaches throw water bottles. We've seen coaches act like idiots. We've seen coaches slap other coaches. But I think if you're involved in carjacking, you're inherently a rotten human being. The level of stupid that sometimes gets on our YouTube chat just gives me a headache. You're born a male, play with males. You're born a female, play with females. Don't at me about it, people. I'm pissed off about this. I never did it before in my life, but Trump is being cheated. The American people are being cheated. We, ladies and gentlemen, are being cheated.
I believe this person is the greatest player anybody alive will ever see. How can you hate Derek Jeter? A guy's on-base percentage tells me his batting eye, and a guy's slugging percentage tells me if he's a threat. That's the kind of guy that throws a no-hitter, that effectively wild guy.
Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey, a bold taste of a Southern legend.
Sixth and Peabody, our location with E-Hop here and Old Smoky Moonshine. Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow rolls on across the OutKick network. Chad, you know it's Friday. You know the energy is high. You know we're close to the end. Packing up. Getting ready for a big weekend. Beautiful weather because the gun show is here.
Let's go.
Mike Gunson, OutKick.com.
What's going on, fellas?
Dude,
Let's go.
I love the mix of the Bo Jackson vintage light blue Royals jersey, which
is this
one
signed?
of the best uniforms in all of sports.
Is this signed by Bo Jackson?
No, it is not signed. You want to know where I got this? The good old Seaside Heights Boardwalk last week. It was $5 a spin, and it's impossible to win the jersey game, and I nailed it, baby. Cooperstown official crushing it.
Is there not a signature on this?
It might just be spilt beer.
No, maybe that's all it was.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
It's terrific, though. I love it. It's one of those
sign
underrated.
Bo Jackson's name for you.
I've never gotten so many compliments. Like, I saw the B. Jackson up there, and I was like, I need to win that. Like, they had an Aaron Judge, and they had, like, a Jordan. I don't care. I saw Bo Jackson. They also had an old-school teal green Griffey.
Oh.
And I was like,
now you're
torn.
you're speaking my language now, Guns.
So let's evaluate these jerseys first off. Like this era right here, and they're bringing them back now. That light blue look
crushing
on the Phillies, the Twins, the Blue Jays, the Royals that you're wearing. The Braves had a light blue jersey back in like
Expos?
the early
Remember the
80s, the
Expos?
Expos. Like that era, all of those look awesome.
Yeah.
This one included. Well done, Guns.
And the thing is, what's interesting, it's so random because it's Bo Jackson. But like I tell you, I got so many compliments of people coming up. There were fathers that like these little kids were playing the wheel as well, and the fathers were like, "You got to get Bo if you win. You got to get Bo." And my question to you is, because I was asking my friends this, is, you know, obviously you had Dion, you had Bo. Is there ever going to be another two-way sports player? I don't think there can be with the massive contracts. I don't think any team will allow him to play a different sport.
Well, the last guy that I remember that we honestly thought about it, that we talked about, was Kyler Murray, who had the deal with the A's where he had
teams
the
were
offer,
concerned that he was going to play
baseball. Yeah. And I thought he couldn't. The problem is you can't play quarterback with that commit. Now, granted, this guy plays a lot of Call of Duty and doesn't really commit to that either. But maybe Kyler Murray could have pulled it off. But it's hard to play quarterback in another sport. I mean, is there a guy? It's Guns. It's a great question. It takes the right positional crossover. So, like, Dion could do it as a corner and then a fill-in,
a helicopter in
platoon outfielder, right?
Yeah.
Center fielder for the Braves.
Dion,
yeah, playing the Sunday game and then helicoptering in for a playoff game at Major League Baseball that night.
Yeah. And then Bo was just a tank.
Then Bo was a running back.
Yeah.
Like, you know, running back is, it doesn't take as much study to play running back the way Bo Jackson did.
There's so much money, though, that, like, if I'm like, they won't even let them play, like, I mean, look at Aaron Boone, perfect example. Got hurt playing a pickup game of basketball when he was with the Yankees. Like, they don't want people doing anything. You can't ski. You can't do this. Like, so I don't know if they would let them when you're talking $250 million contracts.
Yeah, I think the commitment level, and also we've seen sports specialization start so much earlier now with kids anyway, so we're trending away from that. I'd love to see it again, though.
So, like, I want a modern day Bo Jackson who wasn't involved, like, as far as I know, in any drama or anything. Well, I mean, what have you heard about Bo Jackson since? All we know is he was just a tank. He ran up the outfield wall.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Shohei Ohtani, I think, bucked a lot of trends that we said, that no one could ever be this good at hitting and pitching and playing at the same time and doing both well. And so, never say never. Maybe it'll happen. Let's talk a little more baseball.
Gotcha.
What do you think of the 60-13 final score of the Atlanta Braves versus New York baseball teams over 7 games? I don't know that I can remember a level of dominance.
You're lucky to have 13.
Followed by the Yankees. Well, the Mets are the lucky one because they got one win in it.
And it was 7 runs.
Win.
That's what I'm saying. You're lucky to have 13.
It was like 8-7 the game they won. Yeah.
I just did a piece on OutKick about this. I cannot wait for the playoffs to get here just so I can be put out of my misery because I know the Yankees aren't going to make it. Like, please just get there. Not that it's like, I can't wait to make the playoffs so we'll make a run. Let's just get there to stop the debacle, the debauchery, the disaster that's been the New York Yankees this year. It's indefensible. You can't, and what's so frustrating, we've gone to this world of analytics, and what I get so frustrated about is, listen, managers are always the first to go because they're just pretty much, nobody's managing. There's no Billy Martins out there. There's if you do that won't happen in modern day. Whether it's coaches, you'll still be your Belichick. I don't know how many more Belichicks there's going to be because players don't want to be yelled at, all right?
Yeah.
And owners know they're paying a ton of money to them. So my point is, though, that managers will always be the ones to go and head coaches because they're essentially just a mouthpiece. So they're up there just taking the hits. But it's the analytics, these no-name nerds wearing stupid old-school glasses, pocket protectors, that none of us know what their names are, and they're ruining the sport. And a lot of times, the reason that teams are losing when it comes down to it a lot. Or they're making the moves. Like ahead of time, it's like, we have to give him an off day. Well, he's hit 7 home runs in 4 games. Nope, he needs an off day because the analytics say so. They don't understand because they never played the sport, and none of them get fired. They're never held. Name one analytic person. Any of the viewers or listeners out there, give me an analytic
Paul
person.
D. Podesta. Because I watch Moneyball, right? It was Jonah Hill and Moneyball that started it. He bought him or traded him, right? No, he bought his contract out from Cleveland Indians to come over to the A's.
It's just frustrating.
Well, you're bringing this up, and it does tie into a New York team because Justin Verlander just got done having to defend himself because he went off on the Mets for not having an up-to-par analytics department the way the Astros did. And he said, I'm sorry that my constructive criticism was taken as me being a diva.
What a diva.
But I understand that to an extent. Well, here, first of all, the Mets, that also shows that all the money in the world can't buy you a championship. It's not the Yankees in the 2000s anymore. But look at what they did to Scherzer. They get rid of Max Scherzer because they're like, we're just going to rebuild. So I want to use the Mets as an example because they don't know what they're doing. He spent $360 million, and then they tell Max Scherzer that, hey, you might want to leave because we're going to rebuild now. It's like, well, what? You just dropped $360 million, a record historic amount. And what's Scherzer done? He's 4-0 now and pitching lights out. He just wanted to get the hell out of
If only the Angels' moves would have worked out this well.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Because then we see the two-way player in the same game.
What a
in
mess.
Ohtani.
What a mess.
Speaking of a mess, how about Kid Rock? Drinking a Bud Light in downtown Nashville.
Not great.
Yeah.
This is peak 2023.
Yeah,
right
with
here,
a 69 score is a health score at the bar, too.
Peak 2023 is the movement about anti-Bud Light led by Kid Rock. He kicked it off. Right, the kickoff concert for Bud Light was taking a machine gun to the Bud Light and doing that, and now he's in a bar
you're talking about
holding a Bud Light. Right?
In Nashville, of all places.
Oh, my God.
So we reached out for comment. We haven't been able to hear anything back. It's all over the place now. You can check out OutKick as well.
Guns has a story at OutKick.com.
But it's a doctored photo or also a photo from 3 years ago.
You can't doctor the kid.
Yeah.
But it could have been from 3 years ago.
Yeah, it could have been an old one that circulated.
Out of everybody, Joe Rogan just said this past week, Kid Rock is responsible for the anti-Bud Light movement. And then 3 days later, he's in Nashville drinking Bud Light. And thoughts and prayers for the fan base.
Although, hey, by the way, I agree with Kid Rock. Drink whatever beer you want to drink.
I'm all about that, but it's a perfect example. And this is what I hate. I just love calling everybody out. I just want people to be real. I think the American people, regular people are tired of BS and being lied to.
Yes.
I don't care what political side you're on. Just stop lying. Stop being fake, phony frauds, all right? You're going to do this, and it's do as I say, not as I do. It's don't you dare waste gas or whatnot, but I'm going to take a private jet. Come on now. Relax.
It's
simmer down.
marketing. Right? He's
Pandering,
marketing. He's doing something, pandering to a side that he thinks is going to make him money. And he goes on doing whatever the heck he wants. He got caught.
He got caught. How funny
He got
is
caught
that?
being the hypocrite we all knew he was, and pretty much everyone else is.
That's pretty funny. I mean, I just, you know what I mean? Like, what a good, like, he's been so pro this. I don't care what somebody is. And then you get caught. It's like, I love to see it. The headline writes itself.
It does. Chad, you ever win a county championship?
They won a state championship, didn't you?
Wait, we won a county. Let's
Okay.
not get ahead of ourselves.
Did you ever win a county
here.
championship?
We didn't have county championships, so I was.
Don't disparage me, Chad.
I won a county geography bee championship, but we didn't
Guns.
we didn't mark it by county.
Guys, I'm
championships.
sorry that I didn't say state champion because Chad would have thought,
It was something
state
big.
champion.
I mean, the way you were hyping up this championship coming here with your buddy who's in town, I
man, right
assumed
over
it was
here, right
state
over
at least. I was like, this has got to be a Jersey state championship. And instead, a shout out to your buddy in town from D.C.
Rock and roll, yeah.
Tell us about the season that was.
The season that
has not happened again
Untold.
at Guns' school. Untold.
This is
What
so
county did you
Untold
grow up
county
in? What
champs.
county was this?
Somerset County, New Jersey, all right?
Untold Somerset County Soccer
Let's
Championship.
go. Went to Immaculata High School. All right, so we were huge in football, and baseball. A lot of multiple players went on to the NFL and
American
MLB.
football for those
American
confused.
football up
Yeah,
there.
you played the other football.
And of course, I did not play baseball or football, or got recruited there. Obviously, I'm gun, so I played soccer. And
your guns are on in your calves.
well, barely.
That's right. Yeah, calves and thighs.
Let's just say this: I didn't make varsity till I played 4 years, but I didn't make varsity until senior year, and I got my varsity jacket in May, when I graduated 3 weeks before, and I've never been so proud of a varsity jacket in my life because we weren't supposed to win. We were a bunch of stoners with curly hair and misfits, and I would eat bacon, egg, and cheeses before a game and chocolate milk. That was my pregame ritual, and we won
Carbo
the
loading.
counties. Never before, never again. Relive the glory days. I haven't seen this kid in like 15 years, and I will die for him because we went through that together. We would play these people that were so good in soccer, multiple banners, pop collar. You know when that pop collar trend was in?
Yeah.
And then we
Abercrombie
would show
and
up.
Fitch types.
Yes, exactly. And we would show up. We'd bring a boombox and like warm up to like LFO Summer Girls and just freak them out.
Light, funky
we would
ones.
psych them out. And
Light,
then we
funky
won.
ones. I never knew what that stood for until after I
that's
stopped
great.
liking LFO.
LFO. That's amazing.
I'm so happy.
How many teams were in your county? Is this
There
like
was
a
a-
championship of like 7
No.
teams?
It was very it was very competitive. Like people like we ruined lives when we beat them.
Yeah,
like,
they
you know
still
what I mean?
remember
Like,
it.
Parents disappointed in their children because
Like
the,
Alabama losing to Auburn.
Yeah, like the third generation.
You were taking
ruined it.
souls, is what
Yeah.
I'm hearing,
Oh, yeah, I'm
in
a soul
Somerset
taker.
County.
I'm a soul taker.
Like
the
Michigan
gun
with
show.
Ohio State recently.
Back in the day.
Yeah, it's so good. There's nothing like it.
Did you have anyone on the team that went on to play college soccer?
Did we? Who? Frank? Give me what schools? TCNJ Williams. Yeah, we had some the year before. Jamie
Williams,
Granger went to Brown.
great
Brown.
liberal arts school.
Yeah, some stuff like that.
Dave Clawson, head coach at Wake Forest, I believe, is a Williams college grad.
How about that?
Yeah.
But what made it so perfect is it wasn't
Until
supposed
another college
to
came in and
happen.
tampered and poached him away.
Yeah. Any NIL for this team?
Yeah.
What would the NIL rate be
For the
this
gun
team
show?
of misfits? No, just back like you guys, in high school. Was there town support, school support? Would you have been getting $100 handshakes?
Well, eventually we were so good that like even the jocks had to start appreciating us. And the you know what I mean? And the chicks were like, you know what? We like them. They're funny.
You know what? They're good.
Cool, and
They're
they're
champs.
winners.
They're
Let's
champs.
This
go.
isn't as much of a documentary or a docuseries that I'd like to watch, but I feel like you could write the high school sports movie
Let's
version
go.
of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
Be
you win
massive.
the respect of the entire school and the football team.
Just don't mention adoption.
They're all showing up to games all of a sudden, and they're all into it.
Dude, we had signs and
Conservatorships
stuff.
only, please.
And then once we were done, nobody cared about soccer.
Yeah, who was the Michael Orr of your team? Was anyone adopted that was taken in for soccer purposes only?
God help
This
us.
the screenplay will soon be ripped from your hands, just like the Oscar you plan on winning.
They
by
got
writing it.
a lot better when Cristiano Ronaldo was adopted by
Speaking
that
of,
rich
I'll be there-
Immaculata dad.
I'll be at Messi tomorrow, Nashville. How about that? Should be
You're gonna
something.
be there?
Damn right.
How much?
Is this credential
What
only?
did you do to get in this
Credential,
match?
Yeah, please. I love OutKick, but I'm not making money to drop
Colin
$9
over here
grand.
hates you now that you're going to be there, and he's been to multiple
Messi-
matches and won.
So how much is it to get in?
So it began like anywhere from like $950 up to $9 grand. Tickets have dropped to the $350, $400 range today. But maybe I'll wear my varsity jacket.
It's still not sold out, right?
It might be sold out, and there's just
No, it's not even close. So the tickets have to drop, surely.
So is that why it's dropped? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I would think.
They might be like $75 by game time tomorrow if they don't sell out.
Let's go. Come through.
I
may be in.
It's messy.
Let's
it should
go.
be something.
Let's light some fires the way they would do it
Now,
international.
Listen, so as far as let me get
Where are we going to loot afterwards? That's the only question.
we're
I
gonna
have.
run this town, baby. Now, as far as like, I just always love I'm not a big LeBron fan, and I love seeing LeBron lose in life. But it's gonna be cool to see Messi.
Yeah.
But like,
What a
are
statement.
we rooting against? We have to root against him, right? Like, I don't want to see him
Messi?
score 5 goals.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you don't want to.
I want Nashville to win.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. So screw you, Messi. We're coming.
Yeah, I mean,
at
I
you.
think if you're a Nashville sports fan, you want Nashville to win. But
I think if you're paying $9 grand to be there, you're rooting Messi.
I want.
Well, that's the
I
thing,
want
right?
Messi to score 4
Right.
goals and Nashville to score 5.
Boom. Let's go.
That would be the ideal
want
scenario.
I want to shoot.
I want him to put on a fireworks show, but Nashville
that
to
was
win.
my
That's what he's
question.
been doing, though.
Oh,
It's
he's
a
been crushing
huge
it.
victory
I want
for
him to put on
MLS.
a fireworks show like the Immaculata High School
Spartans.
team of 2004 or whenever it was that they won the county.
Blue and white, baby.
Untold.
Oh God.
Gun scores.
Untold.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
The Guns arsenal's in his quads, not in
now
his
have to-
biceps.
Rock and roll.
We now need to pay for security to get him back to his car because
Jackson.
he just admitted that he's going to the
He's got Messi
soccer
security
match tomorrow.
guard that follows him around everywhere, that follows him in and out of this
Guns,
place.
good to see you, man.
My guys on a Friday.
Gun show never
Cheers.
disappoints.
Rock and
Cheers
roll.
to the champion
Salute.
over here, the
Cheers.
county champ, Mike
Hail
Gunsman.
to the Spartans.
Cheers.
Coming
to
up,
other
Condoleezza Rice and George Bush.
New
They're
Jersey
lobbying
natives.
college football. We'll tell you exactly what that's for next.
The two biggest social media giants, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, are set to battle it out, and I'm here on Broadway asking people who they put their money on. Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, they're gonna fight each other. Who do you think's gonna win?
I think Mark's got him.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because he's a man.
Okay, and Elon Musk isn't.
Oh, well, of course, he's got money.
Okay.
He's got money. Money, well, money's money.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg in a fight?
I don't know. I'm going to go with Musk.
Why?
He just seems like he's a little bit younger, a little bit smarter.
You just got a good feeling about him?
I got a good feeling.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg?
Musk?
Why?
He trains. That guy's going to beat his
But Mark Zuckerberg is actually training jiu-jitsu for 9 months.
Not happening. Not Elon Musk all day.
Elon Musk.
Why do you think?
He has no soul. I mean, I think he's definitely just going to no holds barred.
Elon Musk.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. I feel like he's stronger and smarter.
Oh, Elon Musk.
All the way? Why?
All the way. He's an animal. Think about it.
Mark Zuckerberg's been training for 9 months jiu-jitsu. You think Elon Musk can take him?
Yeah, I think he can take him.
Elon, that oh God, stop playing with Elon. Elon really do this out here, for real.
I hope Elon
Really? Why do you think so?
got better ideas.
Zuckerberg's like 5'7", 155. Musk is 6'1", 190. But Zuckerberg's been training jiu-jitsu for 9 months. Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, who's going to win in a fight?
Oh, Elon Musk. No doubt.
Why do you think so?
He's the GOAT. I've been seeing all the Twitter handles and all the talk, and I'm on Elon Musk's side. I'm ready for them to get in the WWE ring and then come off the top rope. That's what I want to see. I want to see a people's elbow to Mark Zuckerberg.
If one was more likely to be a lizard or a robot, who would it be?
Elon. Elon.
Okay.
I think Mark Zuckerberg will win
Why do you think that?
because I think he already trains MMA, so he's got like the prior experience and stuff. I mean, they're both billionaires, so they have the opportunity to get the best training. But I think Mark Zuckerberg will pull away with the win.
Elon Musk.
Why do you think so?
Because he's bigger.
Bigger. Okay, but Mark Zuckerberg's been training jiu-jitsu for 9 months. Do you think that matters?
No.
Zuckerberg, he's part alien or robot, so he may have some secret powers that we don't know about.
I was going to say, is that an advantage? Does he have an advantage over Elon Musk then?
Yeah, I mean, if he, sheds his skin and becomes an alien and eats everyone, yeah, I think so.
Elon Musk is mental, so Elon Musk.
All it is just he's mental. He's mentally crazy. So.
He just wouldn't care, would he?
Okay.
He'd just absolutely go for it. I think Zuckerberg would be a bit more refrained.
Okay.
If that should ever happen, which I doubt, but you never know, it'd be entertaining.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg?
Elon Musk.
Why?
Because my dad is in love with Elon Musk.
Okay.
I think I'm going to have to go with Zuckerberg. I mean, Threads just came out, so.
Who do you think would win?
Zuck.
Why do you think so?
Because he's not a real human. He's a robot.
So he'll use that to his advantage.
Yeah, and all the Krav Maga stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you think would win in a fight, Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk?
Elon Musk.
Why do you think Elon Musk?
I think Elon's
He
smarter.
works with robots, so maybe he built a robot to fight for him.
But what if Mark Zuckerberg is a robot?
Oh wow. Then I might have to change my answer.
Who do you think's gonna win?
Me.
Sixth and Peabody, our location with Yeehaw Beer and Old Smoky Moonshine. Hot Mike with Hutton Withrow rolls on. Preseason week 2. This weekend we'll have reaction to some of the bigger injuries that come out of these games. What's real and what's not in terms of competition? I think some of this is manufactured hype. Others, I think there are some position battles up for grabs that are legit. We'll get into that on Monday as well.
I think the Gardner Minshew stuff was totally manufactured. But about him really being the starter.
But Jordan Love hype seems to be something to pay attention to. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying about controversies about starting quarterbacks.
But I think the assumption, the perception is, Jordan Love, lump him in with some other bad football teams.
Yeah.
Maybe not. We'll discuss Monday. Chad, not a bad Little League baseball team.
Yeah, so huge shout out to my cousin, my second cousin, my cousin Nathan Knight, my first cousin. His son Elisha played for the Washington, D.C. Northwest Little League team that went all the way to the Mid-Atlantic final, furthest that any D.C. team ever made it, and they lost in heartbreaking fashion. They were throwing a no-hitter through 3 pitchers, and they got to extra innings, I think the 7th or 8th inning, and gave up a 2-run homer as the first hit of the game for the other team and lost 2-0. So they didn't go to Williamsport, but they were honored by the Washington Nationals. The Washington Nationals this weekend or next, will be playing in the Little League World Series, the Little League game for Major League Baseball. So they'll be playing in Williamsport that we've seen in the past.
That's awesome.
Really, really cool. They were at the ballpark today, honored by the Nationals. Some photos we're going to scroll through for you also on this. What the best part of all this was the pitcher, and I don't have who it is yet that's going to start. The pitcher that's going to start the Little League game for Major League Baseball for the Nationals had every single player on the Northwest Little League team sign his cleats with any message they wanted to put for the game. And he's going to pitch in those cleats in the Little League World Series game for the Nationals. Dave Martinez, as you see here, the manager of the Washington Nationals, even said that, hey, maybe one day I'll be managing one of you guys, which is pretty cool. So I just got those pictures from my cousin who's in the locker room with his son and the team. But another reminder, Little League World Series going on right now, awesome stuff. But this is life-changing stuff
they will
and moments
never forget it.
For those kids. I mean, imagine Hutton playing on national TV at that age and having that opportunity. It's so, so cool.
Well, the nerves, too.
I can't imagine. Well, the emotion involved with it, and then, the emotion of being, 12 also and playing in those games. Really cool, but great gesture by the Nationals.
Chad, I apologize. I can't find the starter's name that you're referencing here.
I don't know. I guess they just know the rotation. Either way.
That's cool.
Very, very cool story. So shout out to Elisha Knight, my cousin, and his teammates for Northwest Little League, making it further than any DC team ever, and also to the Nationals for stepping up and doing some really cool things with that team. And another moment outside of playing on national TV in those games that they'll never forget, meeting those Major League Baseball players today.
Chad, what do you make of this? Because I think we can certainly have a big discussion here. George W. Bush and Condoleezza Rice are lobbying on behalf of Stanford and Cal to the ACC. And there's a bigger, I think, branch to this as far as lobbying goes for where we're headed. And it ties in your exercise earlier for the NFL of college football. The lobbyists and who you would want on your side lobbying for you. And is it more sports related or politics based in how you go about pushing this, especially when it's the networks and the millions upon billions that will be running these decisions? And you're already asking Capitol Hill to legislate and regulate the players. And now it would be based on lobbying. In this case, Cal's athletic department is in debt. Of course, Stanford with Condoleezza Rice, she wants great footing there. I believe Laura Bush went to Cal. And there are, high-ranking people in many big spots that could make a phone call and say, hey, help us out. What do we have to do?
I'm uncomfortable with it.
But we know it's happening.
Yeah. Look, I don't. There's nothing wrong with it. Like if Condoleezza Rice and George Bush want to get involved in conference realignment and discuss possible landing spots for programs they're interested in or attached to via graduating from there or having some association with it. I mean, they're well within their rights to do that, and that's fine. The whole thing makes me feel a little icky. If you're being left out of something like Cal and Stanford, there's a reason for it. Either you weren't proactive enough to try to seek out what you knew was happening in the landscape of college sports, and now you're kind of desperate, or you're not wanted by other conferences. So having to go in and beg and sing for your supper, if you're one of these programs, and hey, look at us, we're really big time, we promise. When you're having to say that, you're not.
Well,
there's a great moment in the latest episode of Winning Time on HBO where Pat Riley, played by Adrian Brody, Academy Award winner, is talking with Paul Westhead, played by Jason Segel, a really funny, great actor. And they're on a plane arguing, and he keeps saying, I'm the head coach. Paul Westhead says that. I'm the head coach. You need to respect me. And finally, Adrian Brody, as Pat Riley says, if you were the head coach and you felt good about it, you wouldn't have to say it over and over again. Everyone would know it. I feel that way about these programs. If you're that good and that valuable, you don't have to tell everyone about it and lobby for it.
Here's another thing that comes to mind for me, though, because you have Condoleezza Rice with Stanford, Laura Bush with SMU. Stanford's endowment is massive.
Yeah.
SMU has the backing financially if they want to do whatever. So
I put Stanford in my list of 32, by the way.
I know. And SMU wasn't even, according to reports, mentioned whenever it was discussed for Stanford and Cal with the ACC. But the other part of this, though, is the timing of it. And I can tie in the running back Zoom meeting, as little impact as that had. Why now? Why not have the foresight instead of looking over and thinking, oh, here's what we should have done. Let's make sure we may be late. Let's make sure we can still get to the party. And it's too little too late currently to make this a big deal on behalf of whoever you're lobbying for, positioning for, negotiating for. White Klyavkov didn't have the foresight to know that Colorado was leaving, San Diego State wanted in, and before the mountain just tumbles to the ground, you make a move that is inevitable anyway, and you try to stay with your head above water, and that did not happen. And same goes for the NFL with certain players. The running backs waited until after the deadline to negotiate an extension based on someone who had been tagged. They waited until that deadline passed. And they waited right up until the day when it's time to report to camp and you can be fined $50,000 a day. It's stupid. And I don't know why they don't have more foresight behind the scenes. It's like they were waiting on a partner. You mentioned, like, well, you either are not wanted or you just refuse to accept what's to come. And it's more about you didn't have the partner that called you and asked you, you want to go to prom? Prom meaning prom meaning not even the Big 12, the Big 10.
Big time college football.
Yeah. And why sit around and wait on that? Colorado didn't.
Well, there's two different situations here. SMU, okay, you got to beg a little bit. You know, you're in the American Athletic Conference. You're not in a big-time conference. So it's not about moving to a better situation. It's about moving up. It's about upward mobility. So for them, they're saying we've got a big-time endowment. We've got loaded boosters.
We get a partner, though.
We want to be there. Like, yeah, we need to go here, and this is why. Stanford is a different situation. It's almost like Kliavkoff in the Pac-12. Probably went about it in kind of an elitist way and said, we're Stanford. Here we are. If you want to come talk to us and flirt with us and ask us to the prom, we'll listen to you and hear you out. But we're Stanford. We're more about academics, and we don't care about the future of us with college football. But now they've been left out without a dance partner. Suddenly they need lobbyists lobbying on their behalf.
Yeah.
So they didn't take that initiative when they probably had a chance to do it. SMU's kind of always been in a position to beg in this whole thing.
But if you just look at the landscape of what has happened over the last 2 years, not even what happened over the last 2 months, you know it's a duo. It's a tandem. It's not just one school. And I don't think you can just work your way into a conversation unless you're Notre Dame, maybe even UConn. I don't think you can work your way into a conversation that says, oh, you're considering Stanford, Cal, consider us and choose one of them. That's not how it goes. It's Texas and Oklahoma. It's Oregon and Washington. It's USC and UCLA. It has been Colorado knowing that they were going to get one more to even it out. Turns out they got 3 to get to the certain amount of teams they want in the corner schools that they wanted, which was all intentional on behalf of the Big 12. In this case, SMU's got to have a dance partner that helps them on their behalf, that brings up the value of them joining said conference. And also,
and it's going to take a lot of convincing by them.
But the convincing of Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, and NC State. Those are the convincing votes that you have to have. Those are the ones that voted no with Stanford and Cal. So how do you flip them? You have to bring value. And if you're not already being considered, I don't know how you get your foot in the door unless you have another option with you. That's helping on your behalf.
David on the YouTube chat says Stanford, Cal, SMU are the girls left at the bar near closing time. I'll take it a step further. The bar's closed. They're trying to get the bar to reopen.
Yeah.
I mean, they're out in the street waiting on an Uber right now to go home. And home is no conference and no money. So now they're banging on the door trying to get the bartender to come open the door and reopen the bar. That's what this is.
How about
they got to find a home?
Oregon State's AD, Scott Barnes, this quote, I don't think Pac-12 leadership was in touch with how folks felt. Look, we can talk about the pause and waiting later and doing a media rights deal, but ultimately you need to be in tune with your members and understand the landscape very, very well. I don't think that work got done, in my opinion. I think that's something that we've got to decide on, the role of the Pac-12 leadership. That's something that needs to be determined in terms of this final year. He can say all that, but again, if you're not being heard, what are you doing to ensure that you're relevant, that you're not silenced based on everyone departing and you're the last 4? Barnes is saying that, yeah, they didn't do a good job of knowing how people felt. I wonder if that's happening now. Probably not, and there are only 4 left. And are the intentions of the 4 in line with the intentions of leadership of the conference? It can't be.
No.
Not based on what happened. So who's leading?
They're all there was a time where they were all under the impression they were doing things for the greater good and trying to be unified and trying to do things as a conference.
Benefit of the doubt on behalf of the conference to present the TV deal.
There is absolutely no possibility that the Pac-4, the remaining schools, are doing anything in concert. They are doing everything for their own survival.
Yes.
Washington State and Oregon State are not buddies. They're not sitting there saying, guys, let's hold hands and march into the Mountain West together. They're all trying to find the best possible solution.
And this is Barnes with a brand new renovated stadium.
Yeah. That's out the window because of poor leadership.
Yeah.
That
Sitting
possibility
back
is
and
out
waiting
the
on
window.
leaders to lead and delegate instead of
Now,
leaders to act
are
like
they
they're
open
in
to
charge.
joining together to do something if it benefits themselves? Yeah, they would do that. But it's not like they're going around saying, guys, the last 4 teams that were left behind are united in the vision of what this Pac-4 could be when we do our next. No, none of that. That's
It's the
not
individual 4.
Yeah, it's not happening.
There's no pack there.
They're all looking out for themselves.
Chad, cheers to the weekend.
Cheers, my friend. We made it.
Enjoy the football. Next week, we've
Another
actually
week.
got regular season college football to
Yeah.
discuss, which will be great. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy
We
coaching.
have week 0 of college football next week.
High school kickoff. The high schools are kicking off, I believe,
High
across
schools
the states.
playing last night.
Across the
Tonight,
country,
I'll be
yeah.
coaching softball. I'm a truck guy now. I'll be driving a truck around.
Something women like about a pickup man, Chad.
Really, really incredible time to be alive right now. So many reasons to get excited.
Chad's truck.
Just get out of bed, pumping your fist, ready to go.
We're back at it on Monday.
Guys,
Hot Mic
need me
with
to
Eddie
haul
Withrow.
anything for you over the weekend? Hit me
Across
up on Twitter.
the
Let me know.
OutKick
I
Network.
got you.